days of the night with eyes of red. Vampires in the alleys where good men dread. Wolfmen howling beneath the pale moon. But justice is coming and coming soon. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep, nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. Cryptids themselves, yet they stand tall against the darkness, answering the call for every lost soul, every whispered prayer. They fight for the light in the midnight air. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep, nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. The night is young, the hunt begins. For against the darkness where hope never ends.
Good evening, folks, and thank you guys for joining us on another edition of the Nightmare Hunters podcast. In the studio with me tonight is Robbie Jed Rains from the icy hills of northern South Carolina, and Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from the snow-covered plains where the Great Plains meet the Rockies in the big state of Colorado. Boys, how you boys doing tonight?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
Jed, how about yourself, brother?
Live and kicking.
I apologize tonight. My voice is still probably a little scratchy. I've been fighting off a cold for the last couple of days, but I'm kind of hot toddying it up. So if I get a little loopy toward the end, you won't blame the hot toddy. So I take no personal responsibility. I'm only partaking in a prescription from my personal physician.
I mean, it's medicinal, right?
That's right. Purely medicinal.
I even say that in my book, medicinal purposes only.
That's right. Well, tonight, folks, is episode 399. We are pretty proud to be here with you guys. And tonight, we're bringing you a show we call the Ranger Files. Real cryptid sightings from deep in the national forests. Documented sightings from America's most remote trails. The national parks are supposed to be safe. That's the lie we tell ourselves. We talk about fresh air, open trails, postcard views. We talk about rangers as guardians of the wilderness, calm, capable, and unshakable. But the truth is, some of the most disturbing, violent, and unexplained events in American history happen on land we call protected. And the people who witnessed them weren't just campers or tourists. They were rangers. Trained observers, seasoned professionals, men and women who knew every sound, every track, every shadow in their parks could produce. And still, they were terrified. Tonight, we're not just dealing with folklore, folks. We're not dealing with legends. We're dealing with documented incidents, real cases pulled from ranger logs, search and rescue reports, and internal files that were never meant for the public. Incidents where boulders were thrown at rangers with incredible force, cabin doors ripped off their hinges in the dead of the night, hikers vanishing mid-stride, leaving only drag marks behind, trees twisted apart like wet rope, and a fire lookout tower that was attacked from the base, and a ranger's jeep that was found crushed and folded in on itself like a kid's toy. These aren't stories, these are events. Events that left seasoned rangers shaken, silent, and in some cases, just gone. And when you line up these cases side by side, a pattern starts to emerge. A shape, a presence, something that moves through our national parks with intelligence, strength, and intent. Something that watches, something that tests, something that chooses when to act. So tonight, we're going to walk you through 6 of some of the most disturbing ranger-involved incidences ever recorded. Not just folklore, not campfire tales, real events retold exactly how they happened, with the evidence left behind. And if you think you know what's out there, if you think the parks are safe, if you think rangers are alone at the top of the food chain, sit down, turn off the lights, and listen close. Because once you hear what these rangers lived through, you'll never walk through the woods the same way again. Doc, you want to launch us into the first segment?
Speaking of throwing rocks, let's get the launching and talk about the Yosemite rock throwing incidents. It's not Yosemite, it's Yosemite. So here's the deal: Yosemite National Park rangers and search and rescue reports documenting large rocks thrown at personnel. The FOIA, that's the Freedom of Information Act, released incident logs referencing unidentified assailants in remote canyons. That ring a bell to y'all? Ranger interviews describe the bipedal pacing, shadowing, and vocalizations, also familiar from past stories we've talked about. And the historical Yosemite disappearances associated with strange noises and projectile impacts. So we're going to call this one the Screamer in the Gorge. Yosemite is a cathedral of stone and silence. Granite walls rise thousands of feet above the valley floor, and sound behaves strangely there, echoing, bending, vanishing. Rangers learned early that the backcountry has mood. Some nights it feels welcoming, others it feels like something is waiting. The incident that still gets whispered about in the Tenaya Canyon corridor, a place rangers call the Bermuda Triangle of Yosemite, more people vanish here or there than almost anywhere else in the park. The terrain is brutal and the acoustics are worse. Ranger Tom Delgado was on an evening patrol checking a section of trail where hikers had reported strange screams the night before. Now, Delgado wasn't the type to scare easily. He had worked Yosemite for 12 years and seen every kind of wildlife, every kind of human stupidity. But that night, the canyon felt wrong. The first scream hit him like a physical force, a long rising wail that echoed off the granite walls and made his chest vibrate. Not a mountain lion, not a fox, not anything he'd ever heard in the Sierra. He froze, listening. Then a boulder, not a rock, not a stone, but a boulder the size of a basketball slammed into the trail 10 feet in front of him. It hit with enough force to spray shards of granite across his boots. Now, Delgado spun around and scanned the canyon walls. There were no hikers, there were no climbers, there were no animals. Boom! Another boulder crashed down behind him, closer this time, then another, each one thrown with precision, not rolling, not falling, but launched. Delgado radioed in, "Dispatch, I got rocks coming down, not natural fall, someone's throwing." A deep guttural howl cut him off. It came from the ridge above him. Sounds familiar, don't it? A long chest-shaking roar that didn't match any known species in the park. Now, Delgado started backing down the trail, keeping his light on the ridge, and that's when he saw it. A silhouette, tall, broad, moving upright along the ridge line, pacing him step for step. He raised his flashlight, and the beam caught a flash of something. Dark fur, massive shoulders, a head that seemed too large for a human. The figure stopped. Then it hurled another rock. He's worse than Ernest T. Bass. This one so large, it took out a chunk of the trail beside him. Delgado ran. He didn't stop until he reached the junction where 2 other rangers were waiting. They had heard the screams from a half a mile away. When they returned to the site at first light, they found massive boulders scattered across the trail. Impact marks showing horizontal trajectory. Not a vertical fall. Horizontal trajectory mean it was definitely thrown. Footprints on the ridge, deep, wide, and bipedal, and a section of brush flattened as if something huge had moved through it. The official report listed the cause as geological activity.
Yeah, because mountains throw rocks at you all the time.
Of course, I mean, mountains out here in Colorado throw rocks at me all the time. But the rangers who were there that night, no. They knew it wasn't geological activity. They still talk about the screams. They still talk about the silhouette, and they still talk about the rocks thrown with a force no human could match. Holy crap.
That's definitely a brown pants get out of there kind of moment.
You ain't lying.
But whenever I hear the word Yosemite, the thing that always runs through my head is, "Oh, I hate that rabbit." every time I hear it, I just think of those old Warner Brothers cartoons.
That's funny. And if any of y'all picked up on my Ernest T. Bash reference, you're an Andy Griffith fan for sure. So let's talk about this, y'all. Okay, these were not little pebbles. These were not little stones. These weren't little baseball-sized rocks. These were basketball-sized boulders. Out there in chat, how many of y'all can chunk a basketball-sized boulder?
On a flat trajectory.
On a flat horizontal trajectory, making impact marks.
If I could move it, I'd be lucky to go,
dude,
and just roll it a little.
Exactly, man. That's like those dudes picking those big freaking stones. I mean, the physics of this is that's one of the most impressive things about this. Kind of reminds me of what Fred Rule said about that big old boulder about the size of a basketball flying past his head and cavitating out the river of running water. Okay, so this did y'all notice this sounded familiar? The ranger testimony describing the pacing behavior on the ridge. Huh.
Sounds very familiar to some of the other stories we've talked about.
Where have we heard all this? Yeah, several of them. How about the vocalization? Robbie, what's the thing you've always heard about these vocalizations? I don't know. You've heard them, haven't you?
Yeah.
The chest rattling, because they say they're chest rattling howls.
That's pretty common amongst people who describe hearing that as chest rattling the floor, rattling the windows in the vehicle if you're in that. Just pretty much rattling anything that can be rattled.
Yeah, it shakes, rattles, and rolls everything.
Right.
Now, why do they call this Tenaya Canyon? Why do they call it the Bermuda Triangle? What's that got in common with the Bermuda Triangle out in the Atlantic?
Probably a lot of people go missing in that area.
Crap
that would seem to indicate something up there making things go disappearing.
Right, crap disappears out there. Now I don't know about this too, DA, but I know y'all know this better than I do. What about this is still on topic. What about the missing 411 stuff? Reports with David Paulides. Does he talk about this area as well? The Yosemite Triangle.
The two biggest clusters of disappearances in the missing 411 are Yosemite and Yellowstone.
Holy crap! Wow. Well, I'm gonna tell you, having gone through Yellowstone last summer, first time in my life, I could definitely see how people could poof out there.
Yosemite's in California, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been in Yosemite before too.
I wonder how close that is to where Julian Sands disappeared.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, he said it. Didn't he say up in the Sierras?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be the Sierra Nevada mountain range?
Yeah, I think Yosemite's in the Sierra Nevadas.
And I think that's where he disappeared too, isn't it?
They did find his body, but it was miles from that trail.
Right.
It's not a mistake that would have been made by a award-winning, not just experienced, award-winning hiker.
That dude was like pro level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was considered an easy, clearly marked trail.
Yeah, he was just going on like a day hike. And he had done that trail many times before, from what I remember. So it wasn't like an unknown.
Yeah, that wasn't the first time he been on that trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was just hiking it for the exercise, not because it was a challenge.
Because that was one of the talking points that the news media was kind of harping on, was like that they couldn't understand why he disappeared off this trail, because this is a trail he's walked. Sometimes he hit that trail 2 or 3 times a day.
Oh, dang.
Cave Hours, yes, that is the same Sierra mountain range where the Sierra Sounds were recorded.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what about the size of this thing? The silhouette. That's a common theme we hear too, right? And ridgeline, right?
The ridgelines.
Silhouettes on ridgelines. This is, I mean, hell, that could be the title of a show. Silhouettes on ridgelines. The way they move, the posture, the head too big for the human body, this wide shoulders, and my favorite part was geological activity.
Yeah, that ranks right up there with the campsite being destroyed by raccoons.
Exactly. That's the biggest raccoon I ever seen.
Geologic raccoons.
Geological raccoons. And then, you know, the big history of incidents there, and someone had just posted here and said, you know, David Polite said Yosemite's a cluster area of 411 stuff. And then, man, psychological effects. How did this mess with those rangers, dude? I mean, they knew it wasn't geological activity.
Oh, yeah. And I would imagine that there's probably a very quiet conversation that happens among rangers, especially taking aside new rangers. Like, look, you're not going to find this in any official manual, but you might want to know this.
Right. Unlike the rangers we talked about last show, where they're like, yeah, this happens all the time. You ain't the first one that's happened to. Well, thanks for the freaking news flash there, Walter Cronkite.
Hey, check this out. PW says, I had a junior high teacher whose own son disappeared in Yosemite over 30 years ago.
Holy crap. That is horrible. Yeah, I mean, so it happens, right? Now, okay, territorial or aggressive or both? What do y'all think?
I was definitely.
I think it was aggressive. I'm going to go with aggressive.
I mean,
yeah. With a splash of territorial in there, because it's like, hey.
I mean, I've had rocks thrown at me, but they were like just like little attention grabbers. Basketball size rocks, you don't throw stuff like that at somebody you're just wanting to mess around with. I mean, that's that.
Yeah, it was ready to get him out of there. Well, and then last but not least, this is a great great point here too. How often do rangers report shadowing or pacing in those canyons, and especially on the ridge lines, because that's what we've seen a common theme of, is they always seem to be up on a higher ground. And I think that's just their tactical superiority. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting tale right there. Creepy.
So if you could translate what he was screaming was, "I've got the high ground, Anakin."
Yes. Or if you want to go southern,
either one works.
Yeah, either one works. Either one lets you know you don't need to be there. I can tell you, if someone's throwing basketball size holders at me, I'm gone.
Will Rogers said, diplomacy is the art of saying nice doggy until you can find a rock. He was just being diplomatic.
Yeah, dude, holy crap. Yeah, that's scary. That's a scary one. And definitely something to think about. I mean, these guys have to patrol these areas.
Yeah. Thank you, Cajun. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
a lot of times completely alone.
Right. Yeah, no backup. Miss Lene says, I can't tell you how many times I got paced in the woods around my farm when I was still riding. Makes me wonder. That is all kinds of scary. Goodness. Woo-wee.
Richie Evans said it fell last week and last night due to low blood pressure and sugars, but didn't break anything, but messed up 3 ribs. Dude, that sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Dang,
we're still
Rick.
praying for you, brother.
Yeah, brother. Dang, dude. Hope you get feeling better soon.
You know, I would think that up in the Sierras like that, the rangers that patrol the areas of Yosemite, they probably all know what's up there, but just aren't allowed to come forward. They've probably been threatened with their pensions and everything else to keep them quiet.
Well, like you said, they've probably got their own informal network of communication, unofficial, and are like, hey, if you're going up trail number 472, up to whatever peak, you might want to keep your eyes open and hitting those ridge lines, and don't go there after dark.
When I was still with county, we had a private Facebook group that was invitation only private group until one day somebody added a brown noser to the group and we all got in trouble.
Always the blue falcon, dude.
Yeah. And that incident is what inspired the Blue Falcon Awards that me and Brett gave away.
There's always one.
Yep. We had to take down the Facebook group, and we weren't talking about anything like naming names or anything like that. Just we kept it in generalities and just complained about things that crap in our day and offered pointers to each other, stuff like that. It wasn't a bad Facebook group. It was just us, a place where we could get together and vent and share ideas. And admin made us take it down.
Always one, dude. There's always one.
I'm thinking about starting a new one now, since I'm no longer there, calling it Survivors of Greene County.
That's funny. Oh man. So that was a good one. That was a good one. I mean, that's something right there. I mean, I've never had anything thrown at me. Y'all both have. But
that night on Combs Ferry, we all did. We could hear them, like they weren't big. You could hear them like smacking through the trees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Every time I've had stuff thrown, it's been little small rocks.
Although when we were standing in the water waiting for Richard to get back with the boat, for me, you and Noah, things were getting a little spicy.
They still didn't throw no basketball-sized rocks at us, though.
Yeah, nothing that big, but we didn't realize how close they were until we backed out into the channel.
I don't swim well, neither.
White says him and Richard have had big rocks thrown at the boat.
Y'all have fun. It's time for me to go. Ooh.
Boys, I'm telling you, the things like that, when you've actually had it happen to you, these stories take on a whole new meaning. Like Doc, I'm sure you don't look at these stories the same as you did, before Moon Valley.
Absolutely not. And talking about the shape and the silhouettes and everything like that, Robbie, what I draw on that napkin, the same type of figure. Because I was like, dude, I seen it.
Thank you, Heavy B. Appreciate it, man.
The napkin that's right over your shoulder right now, probably.
Yeah.
That was an interesting night.
Yeah, it was a really interesting night.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's one thing to read about stories like this or watch documentaries on TV, but when you've been out in the woods and had some of these things happen to you, it changes your entire perspective on these.
Yeah,
they're no longer just theoretical exercises because you've seen and experienced some of these exact things.
Yeah, it absolutely does, man. I mean, it's a total paradigm shift. You know what I mean? From everything you've read or seen or whatever and when you experience it, you're like, whoa, this is next level, man.
No kidding. Toby, thank you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man.
Brian Lingard says, time to vacate the area post haste. You are correct, sir. To borrow a phrase from Doc. But what happened in Yosemite wasn't just aggression. It was precision. Something up there knew exactly where the Rangers were and exactly how to push them back. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the danger doesn't come from above or from the shadows. Sometimes it comes straight to your front door and tears it off the hinges. So, Robbie, you want to take us into the segment too?
Sure thing. The Mount Rainier cabin break-in. Sources in Case Foundation. 1970s Mount Rainier National Park Ranger cabin damage reports. NPS maintenance logs documenting torn doors, bent hinges, and claw mark scoring. Ranger interviews referencing nighttime pacing, window testing, and structural impacts, and also historical Rainier backcountry incidents involving unidentified bipedal tracks in the snow. All right. And this one is called The Night the Cabin Breathed. A little spooky, wasn't it, Doc?
That was good. I like that.
Mount Rainier in winter is a world carved from ice and silence. The snowpack swallows sound, the wind moves like a living thing, and the backcountry cabins, old, creaking, and isolated, feel like shelters and more like islands in a frozen sea. In the winter of 1976, Ranger Alan Whitaker was assigned to the Carbon River Backcountry Cabin, a small single-room structure used for winter patrol staging. Whitaker was experienced, steady, and unshakable. The kind of ranger who could spend weeks alone without losing his edge. But on the night of January 11th, something found him. It started with footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate, circling the cabin. Whitaker sat up in his bunk, listening. The wind outside was dead still, no branches moving, no snow falling, just the sound of something walking around the cabin in a slow, methodical loop. He checked his watch at 2:14 a.m. The footsteps stopped at the door. Whitaker reached for his flashlight. Before he could stand, the door shuddered, as if something pressed its weight against it. It sounds like the one we had from the other night, too.
Mm-hmm.
The hinges groaned, snow shifted down from the rafters. Then came the scratching. Long, slow drags of something sharp across the wood. Not claws tapping, not an animal testing, something feeling the door. Whitaker raised his radio. Dispatch, this is Carbon River Cabin. I've got movement outside. Something big. Static. He tried again. Nothing. The scratching stopped. Then the impact hit. The entire cabin shook. A violent, explosive blow that knocked pans off their hooks and sent Whitaker stumbling. The door bowed inward, the top hinges bending with a metallic shriek. Whitaker grabbed his service rifle and braced himself. Another impact, harder this time. The door frame splintered. He shouted, "Back off!" and fired a warning shot through the ceiling. Silence, then breathing. Deep, slow, rhythmic breathing right outside the door. So close, he could hear the exhale fogging against the wood. Whitaker froze, rifle raised, listening to the sound of something massive inhaling and exhaling inches from him. Then the breathing stopped. A shadow passed across the frosted window, tall, broad-shouldered, moving upright. Then the creature walked away, each footstep shaking the snow-packed ground. Whitaker didn't sleep the rest of the night. At dawn, he stepped outside to inspect the damage. The door frame was cracked, the hinges were bent, the wood was gouged with 4 deep claw marks, each one nearly a foot long. And in the snow, leading away from the cabin, were tracks, bipedal, wide, deep, spaced far apart. The official report listed the cause as unknown animal activity. But the maintenance crew who replaced the door said the same thing Whitaker did. No animal in these mountains can do that.
Dude. So it progressed from the ones we've read where it just kind of tests the door, actually knocking out.
Actually shattered the door frame.
Yeah, yeah. Shattered it and clawing on it too. Dude, okay, let me ask y'all this question. If he wouldn't have had his rifle with him,
probably a different story. They just would have found a smashed cabin and a missing ranger.
I think that Miss Linnea was a very large raccoon. Yeah, I mean, I think that would have changed. That was a game changer. That changed the outcome of that story, I believe.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He'd have been a missing 411 case.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, because we've talked about this. These creatures are smart. They know guns. They know gunshots. And they're like, hey, I might be big, but I still don't want to get shot.
Who does? I mean, it's like any other predator. When you're looking for a meal, you've got to risk. You've got to calculate the risk versus the reward, because they cannot get hurt out there, because it's not like they can pop over to the local veterinary clinic and get patched up. A wound out there, even a minor one, can turn septic and be fatal.
Yep, 100%.
Well, even after he fired the shot, it was like that brief moment where it was weighing its options, thinking, is this worth me continuing or not?
Right. And and people might say, "Oh, it was a bear." Okay, well, a bear don't walk upright when it's done pushing on stuff, because you see a bear leaning and doing that rocking back and forth. But when a bear takes off, especially if there's a warning shot, a bear's going to drop down on all fours. It ain't going to be sitting there striding out with 6-foot strides with humanoid footprints.
Slowly walking past the window on 2 feet.
Correct.
Right. And in a lot of these areas, these national parks, especially deep up in the mountains, they'll put emergency survival cabins that are stocked with food and like fuel for a fireplace in case somebody gets lost or stranded. They've got a place they can stay where searchers can look for. These little emergency shelters are all over the place, especially up in Alaska. And I've heard stories from rangers who've gone out to check those cabins and found that the door has been ripped off its hinges without a single claw mark.
Dude, holy crap, man!
And these are shelters that are designed to survive an Arctic winter. So they were not like a thin door you find on a trailer house. Yeah. These were reinforced doors to help keep out the cold and polar bears.
Shoot! No, spank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows like it's a measured behavior. It didn't just bull its way in, which we know it could have. It tested, it weighed out the options after the gunshot, and it was like, okay, like you said, Doc, I might be big, but I still don't want to get shot.
It ain't worth it. I'll go chase me a deer down or something.
And that itself shows that sentience that we've talked about, of being able to say, well, there might be something in there I'd like to eat, but I don't want to get shot to eat it.
Right. Just like us, they do threat assessments.
Right.
Why do we do threat assessments? We do threat assessments for our well-being, to keep living. And so, they do a threat assessment too. And they're like, don't think so.
It would be no different than us. Like if we lived off the land trying to hunt and to feed our families. If you're up on a ridge and you've got 2 possible shots, one against a caribou and one against a polar bear, who if you wound it if you just wound it, it's coming for you. What shot are you taking?
100%. Yeah. The caribou.
Well, I bet you really kind of screwed either shot you take, because you shoot the caribou and put it down, the polar bear's going to take the caribou.
Probably, but I mean, just as a rough example.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying.
If you can hunt, if you're given the choice of go hunt down a polar bear or go shoot a caribou, you're gonna pick the caribou, because if you wound the caribou, you're gonna track the blood trail. You wound the polar bear, you better get on your snowmobile and hope he ain't fast.
Yeah, you're gonna be the blood trail.
Right.
Ain't that right, dog?
Don says, that long pig got a boomstick. That's funny.
That's some scary stuff, man. I mean, and the whole thing, the breathing at the door,
bending steel frames, steel hinges. That takes a lot of force.
Yeah, and of course, Murphy's Law, the radio picks the perfect time to not work. You know what I mean?
Maybe it took out the antenna.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like in your case, when the snow gets bad, you might have just lost signal because of the weather.
Yeah, and that happens.
Which does happen up in the mountains.
Yes, it does. Even here on the plains. And Robbie said this too, because he said pacing around the cabin, he went, I heard you go, that's very similar to many other stories that we've heard over the last several weeks, and then the tracks and then there's historical patterns of breaches in these cabins in those mountain ranges, Mount Rainier and the Cascades. Well, hey, Robbie, what was the official report?
Unknown animal damage.
Yes, that's about as good as geological disturbance, ain't it?
You know, a lot of people would not like that kind of solitude. It would weigh on their mind. But these guys are a different breed. They're used to that. I mean, some folks, you get them in that kind of isolation where they've got no cell phones around and no city noises. I mean, they're happier than a pig in fresh mud.
Yeah, I mean they love, because out in the cities and the towns, it's too peoply, so they want to be where it's not peoply.
That's why a lot of people go become rangers, just because they're
Yeah.
tired of dealing with city life and people.
Yeah, they're paid hermits.
Exactly.
I wonder if I'm too old to be a paid hermit.
As long as you get a signal so you can upload your manuscripts and join us on the cast, you're good to go, huh?
Yeah.
Send y'all pictures of the tracks. Oh God, look what I found.
I'm chasing it right now.
So why do you guys think it came up and tested the door and walked around instead of just booting the door in?
Probably just like the fact Doc said, I might be big, but I don't want to get shot. And it probably was wanting to see if there was somebody in there with the boomstick.
Yeah, and it was, and also I think that could be testing the defenses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because walking around is like, well, that's a solid wall. This thing looks different.
Right.
I bet I can get in there.
Jeremy, not a thing in the world wrong with no city noise. In
No.
fact, that's kind of my idea of paradise.
That's why I like it out here in the country where I am. It's quiet. Maybe it had a candygram.
Candygram from Mongo.
Land shark.
Candy.
Candygram. Land shark.
I'm just a dolphin, ma'am.
Plumber. I didn't order a plumber.
Yeah, it was there to serve papers. That's right, Cajun Dog.
Somebody go back to camp and get a whole shitload of dimes.
At a main tollway. Oh, Lord.
But
right.
the tracks in the snow, the description of the creature, the behavior, this is all similar to other encounters we've talked about.
Mm-hmm. Every one of them.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of similarities in a lot of these stories, even
Yeah.
from vastly different parts of the country.
lot of patterns emerging in this stuff. Very similar. And like you said, geographically separated, we still see some of the same exact behavioral patterns
Oh, yeah.
from these things. It's interesting.
But, talking about all that, segment 3, what happened at Rainier was could have been construed as a warning, or like we've talked about, it could have been something else. But something was testing the boundaries between the wilderness and the human shelters. And I think you just kind of hit on that a little bit, Doc. You said, that's different. I might can get into that. But sometimes the boundary isn't just a cabin door. Sometimes it's a thin nylon tent, which we've talked about before.
Yep.
And the person inside never gets the chance to run.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to.
I would be happy to, sir. This segment is called the Happy Isles Missing Hiker Case. This comes from the Yosemite National Park search and rescue logs during the Happy Isles Missing Hiker incident. Rangers report describing unidentified screams during the search, witness statements referencing a large upright figure moving through the brush, historical Yosemite disappearances associated with strange nighttime vocalizations, NPS International notes on unusual auditory phenomenon in the Happy Isles corridor.
Mm.
So this is the night the forest answered back. Happy Isles is one of Yosemite's most beautiful places by day. Waterfalls, polished granite, sunlight filtering through the pines. But at night, the canyon changes. The walls close in, the air thickens, and the sound travels in ways that makes even veteran rangers uneasy. On the evening of August 14th, a solo hiker named Daniel Reyes failed to return to camp. He'd been seen heading toward the Happy Isles Trail junction just before dusk. When he didn't show up by nightfall, rangers initiated a standard search. Ranger Melissa Hart was part of the first response team. She'd worked Yosemite for years, knew the terrain, knew the wildlife, and knew the difference between a person in trouble and a person who simply took a wrong turn. But within minutes of entering the canyon, she felt something was off. The forest was too quiet. There were no crickets, no owls, and no wind, just a heavy, unnatural stillness. She called out, "Daniel, park rangers!" Her voice echoed off the granite walls, and then something else answered. A scream. Not a human scream, not an animal scream. A long, rising wail that seemed to come from everywhere all at once, bouncing off the canyon walls and vibrating in her chest. That sounds familiar. The team froze. Another scream tore through the darkness, closer this time. Then the sound of something large moving through the brush, fast, heavy, and upright. Hart raised her flashlight, and the beam caught movement on the ridge above them. On the ridge. A tall, broad silhouette stepping between the trees. It moved with purpose, not like a bear or a deer. It moved like it was watching them. "Did you see that?" one ranger whispered. Before Hart could respond, a crash erupted from the brush ahead. Branches snapped. Something big was coming toward them. The team raised their lights, scanning the darkness. Then they found the tent. Reyes' tent was shredded, torn from the outside. His pack lay nearby, straps ripped clean through. The ground around the site was disturbed as if a struggle had taken place, and leading away from the tent was a drag mark, a long, deep furrow in the dirt. Hart followed it with her light. The drag marks ended abruptly at a cluster of boulders. No footprints, no blood, no sign of Reyes. Just silence. Then from the ridge above, the silhouette moved again, stepping between the trees, watching them. Hart radioed for backup. "Dispatch, we've got a missing hiker, possible injury, and something else out here." Before she could finish, another scream ripped through the canyon, so loud the radio mic distorted. The team retreated, regrouped, and returned at first light with additional rangers and search and rescue personnel. What they found was a shredded tent, a torn-up pack, drag marks, large impressions in the brush consistent with bipedal movement, but no sign of Reyes. Despite a multi-day search, he was never found. The official report listed the cause as unknown, but the rangers who were there that night still talk about the screams. They still talk about the silhouette, and they still talk about the feeling that something in that canyon was hunting them.
Oh, crap.
The drag marks went right into the boulder, and that's exactly what David Paulides has pointed out with some of the missing 411. That a lot of these people go missing in or around boulder fields.
Well, and what have we seen from all these other episodes that we've talked about? They'll go to a granite field, or they'll go to some area that's hard to track.
Makes it impossible to track them.
Right.
Yep.
I wonder what tracking dogs did, or if they even brought any of them in.
I don't know. That'd be curious. That'd be curious to know, wouldn't it?
I can tell you what they did if they brought them in. They probably did the same thing they always do: tucked their tails, turned, and went back the way they came in.
Yeah, peed down their leg. And I mean, the shredded tent. I mean, dude, if that does not,
shredded from the outside.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No blood either. That's
No blood.
kind of telling.
And no sound. No sound,
Well,
dude.
But here's the thing: no blood, but it was also drag marks. So
Right.
he was either unconscious or already dead. So either way, it either knocked him out or it killed him, and it did it without letting any blood, basically.
Well, something that can pick up a boulder the size of a basketball and lob it with no arch could grab somebody by the top of the head and go without dropping a single drop of blood.
I was thinking the exact same thing. He could just go
That's the point of how it did it. The point is, it did it. It killed him without, or knocked him out, or whatever it did. It did it without, tearing his head off or tearing an arm off.
Yeah.
Right.
It might have just open palm slapped him and knocked him clean out.
That's what I'm saying. Either way, that shows that it knew blood was exactly, Doc. I mean,
Blood leaves a trail.
no
Right.
blood,
It's smart.
no trail.
He knows that blood is just something else for him to track. Even if he's going over the boulders, blood is still something else to track.
That's
I
what
just thought
the whole point I was getting to is the drag marks led up to the boulders. fine and dandy. Okay, they can track me up to the boulders, but they ain't gonna be able to find me here. But if he was bleeding, they still would have been able to follow, no matter what, because he was bleeding.
I just had a weird thought, Doc, and you're the medical guy. I remember back the story I've talked about when I was a kid when I lost that deer, and how I found the blood spot where it had gone down, but I never found another single drop. What if these things are smart enough to look at that bloody hole where the blood's dripping out of and shove a finger in it?
Who knows? Why not?
Carry it away without spilling another drop.
Or they could grab some. They could grab some moss. They could grab
dirt, packet full of dirt, something.
Yeah, leaves, whatever, and keep that thing from dripping, because they know that's what hunters look for. They look for those blood spatters.
CD Squatcher says blood calls to other predators and makes tracking teams more determined to search.
Yep.
That's a fact.
That is true. The way everything went quiet, where have we heard that before?
Yep. Hell, we've experienced that.
Oh, yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Many times.
And, the official reports, unknown. Well, of course it's unknown. They're not going to say, well, something done drug him off and ate him. They can't say that because they never found a body. No body, no murder. Right?
Yep. No crime, no victim, no crime.
That's right.
Habeas corpus. He put the habeas grabus on him.
System on trial.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, dude. I mean, all these dudes said they felt like they were being watched. Dudes and dudettes both. And I know this, and we all know this. Psychologically, how disturbing is it when you know something is peeping on you, you can't see it?
It is very.
Dude, that is crazy disturbing. Hell with that.
Toby McKimmey. Shout out to Fort Lost in the Woods, 1983. Fort Lost in the Woods, 1988, Bubba.
PW. Maybe it kidnapped a person with a Dark Angel metal kit and treated its wounds. Hey, could be. I wonder what their address is. It's probably some kind of weird P.O. box.
Yeah. You're probably going to have to replace part of that kit for saving a life, Doc.
Exactly.
Even though get shortly thereafter.
It's to me, it's scary as all get out, knowing you're being looked at, and and you can't see it.
Yeah. And you know that even though there was a group of them, the effect that had to have on those rangers? I wonder, I would be willing to bet some of them were like, you know what? I would be a lot safer if I worked, anywhere else but here.
But there again, this is like the second or third, maybe the third or fourth one that we've read that there's been multiple people involved in the sighting.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Lots of people corroborated this.
You ain't wrong, Cajun Dog. He said, Doc, remember what Gibbs on NCI said, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean somebody ain't after you. In this case, something. Yeah. 100%. I mean, there's a term for it. I think it's called scopisthesia, where you could actually feel it's that sensation of something watching you. Crazy. Ain't that right, Doc? It's crazy. What are you doing? Why are you letting your back end hang off that pillow? I got a little cinnamon roll right here.
Cinnamon.
It's a
Bigfoot amuse bouche.
Yeah, exactly. Would you stop being all squirmy, little turkey?
He's probably scared you're going to fall off the pillow again.
Brian Lagarde says, Doc, send the replacement items to a rural route booger holler.
Yeah, for facts. Hillary said she watched Missing Enigma today. New Stacy Aris, Yosemite missing case, creepy. National Park Service says their case file has over 2,000 pages of information.
Yet I guarantee you couldn't FOIA it.
Redacted.
open case.
Yeah.
No, it's an open case. We can't reveal the document.
Correct.
CD Squatcher has a good question. It says, do animals react to being stalked like humans do, or is it a specific technique for humans only? I've seen animals. Well, yeah, it's like hunting season. I mean, you'll see deer crossing the road and everywhere up until the day of hunting season, and then they're gone like a fart in the wind. I mean, they know.
You sure see some turkey during deer season, don't you?
Oh yeah, turkeys and squirrels and
deer during turkey season. You're like, you son of a.
Yep.
They know when it's rifle season and archery season too, because they get way out there. Oh my goodness!
Hit me now.
Miss Lene says 8 minutes till. Actually, it's 3. We got 3 minutes until we got to make a quick commercial break. But in that 3 minutes, we can still cover some details. Another thing, the forest going dead quiet right before they started hearing everything. And one up on the ridge watching them.
The ridge. And what kind of silhouette was it? Big, broad.
Tall and broad.
Yeah, silhouette up on the ridge. That's the craziest thing, because like when we were in Moon Valley, dude, it got so quiet you could hear a literal pin drop. The only thing we could hear out of nature was the water flowing. That was it.
And I imagine if that river could have held its breath and stopped, it probably would have.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%. That was a eye-opening moment for me, boys.
That was an interesting night to be sure.
Yeah.
That was not a paradigm shift. You heard the gears are grinding.
It was, dude. It was. Learned that I could turn a 6,000-pound SUV with ease.
Well, that area, the Happy Isles corridor, is loaded with stories of people going missing.
Wow. Now, the Happy Isles. And it said August 14th. Do you remember what year exactly this happened to you? I was just curious.
I didn't record it. I didn't write it down. I think, if I remember correctly, I think this was in the early 90s.
Okay. So recently.
K. Bauer says, DA, I might have told you the other night when I got home, it was dead silent. I could hear my own heart, not even road noise or dog barks. I was watching all around to get in the house. I don't blame you.
Dude, holy crap, man. That's not creepy at all.
Heavy B says, how many of the Rangers had brown pants moments? Probably all of them. Or at least a prairie dogged moment.
If I worked in that area, I'd carry dude wipes, extra drawers, and extra britches.
Well, there's probably a reason most Rangers wear brown pants.
True. That's a fact, man.
Hey, Eric's in the house. Hey, Eric. Hope you're feeling better, brother. I know you've been busy at work. With the storm hitting, I know he's busy. He works for the county.
Ooh-wee. He was busy.
CD Squatcher says, so how did the Sasquatch quiet everything in the area? You know, that tends to happen with any large predator. When it's actively hunting something, all the little animals go to ground and don't make any noise. And that's a predatory response. When you're in a spot where you hear the woods go dead silent like that, that doesn't necessarily mean you've got a Bigfoot or a dog man. It just means you definitely have a big predator.
They're like, shh, we're going to get it.
We're fixing to get it.
Shut up, Cletus. You're going to get it.
Knock him out, John.
Right.
Boys, it is time for us to take a quick break. So, folks, it's a great time to top off your coffee, stretch your legs, head to the bathroom, and we will be back in just a few minutes after a word from our sponsors. And we will be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com. along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the Dead Rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and man's marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of D.A. Roberts.
And we are back, folks. Thank you guys for bearing with us as we made a quick pause to pay some bills, but we are going to jump right back into things. I see Doc is back with Little Doc.
Yep, he loves me.
We were short one commercial tonight, so I'll have to get with Race and find out what happened to the other one. It's not in the upload files anymore, so we might not be advertising that one anymore. So I'm going to have to see if I can, fill a couple of minutes of slot, because we have to break for so long for the radio. And yes, folks, for those of you who are listening to us on YouTube, this is now available on what is it, Audible? Robbie, you saw it?
Yep.
It's available on. We're available on Audible now, on
iHeartRadio, Spreaker.
iHeartRadio, and Spreaker, and pretty much anywhere where podcasts are found. So you can find Nightmare Hunter podcast on all of those networks now. So if you drive a lot and you're looking to listen to a lot of stuff while you're traveling, you can find all the shows we've done with Unex so far. And I hope you guys will check them out and follow and like Unex Network. It's an awesome group of folks. But we're going to jump right back in this and head into the next segment. Because what happened in Happy Isles wasn't just a disappearance; it was a hunt. And Yosemite isn't the only place where rangers have found signs of overwhelming force being used on hikers and backpackers and things like that. But in the deep, rain-soaked forests of the Olympic National Park, something leaves behind evidence so violent, so unnatural, that even seasoned rangers can't explain it. As we head into segment 4 with the Olympia National Park deadfall mystery. Doc, you want to take that one for us?
Absolutely. So we're talking about Olympic National Park ranger logs documenting a crushed deer, twisted saplings, and massive bipedal tracks. Search and rescue notes referencing unusual tree damage inconsistent with windfall. Ranger interviews describing nighttime wood knocks, pacing, and territorial displays, and historical reports of deadfall structures arranged in patterns not attributable to storms or human activity. We enter into the broken forest. Olympic National Park is one of the darkest places in the continental United States. The canopy is so thick that daylight feels muted, and the moss-covered trunks rise like pillars in an ancient cathedral. Rangers say the forest feels alive, not metaphorically, but in the way it watches, listens, and reacts. In 1993, Ranger Evan McClure was assigned to investigate a series of unusual deadfall formations reported by hikers near the Bogachill River drainage. They described trees snapped at impossible heights, crushed game, and a heavy presence in the woods. McClure expected storm damage. What he found still haunts the rangers who worked that district. The first sign was the deer. A full-grown black-tailed deer lay in a clearing. Its rib cage collapsed inward as if something had dropped a boulder on it. But there were no rocks nearby. No claw marks, no bullet wounds, just catastrophic blunt force trauma. McClure knelt beside it, examining the body. The spine was broken in 2 places. The skull was intact. The legs were uninjured. Whatever killed it had struck with precision. He radioed in. Dispatch, I got a dead deer out here. Trauma's unusual. Before he could finish, a crack echoed through the forest, a sharp, violent snap of wood, and McClure turned around and turned around, scanning the tree line. Another crack, then another. He moved toward the sound, stepping carefully through the underbrush, and the forest grew darker and quieter and heavier. The air felt charged like the moment before a storm, and then he saw it. A sapling nearly 6 inches thick, twisted like a rope, fibers spiraling in opposite directions. No storm could do that. No bear, no elk. Nothing in the Olympic ecosystem had the strength or the leverage. McClure raised his camera to document it. That's when the tree fell. Not a dead tree, not a rotten one. A live cedar, nearly 40 feet tall, crashed down just 20 yards from him, snapped clean at the base as if something had pushed it over. McClure stumbled back, heart pounding. He scanned the forest but saw nothing, and then came the wood knocks. 2 sharp impacts, then 3 more. Then silence. He backed away slowly, keeping his hand on his sidearm, and when the backup team arrived, they found the crushed deer, the twisted sapling, the freshly snapped cedar, and a series of massive deep impressions in the moss. Not paw prints, not boot prints, but wide, flat bipedal tracks. A deadfall structure was nearby as well. 3 logs arranged in a deliberate interlocking pattern. The official report cited storm damage and predation, but the rangers who reviewed the scene disagreed. Storms don't twist trees. Predators don't crush deer without feeding, and nothing in those woods should be able to push over a living cedar. Something powerful was moving through the Bogachill drainage that night. Something territorial, something that wanted to be heard. Oh, dude. So what y'all think he did with that deer? Smushed it, or you think he chunked he didn't chunk a rock at it. You think he just caught it and smushed it?
Probably.
Well, why didn't he eat it? That's my question.
Ranger might have got there before he could.
See, and I wonder.
We've often said they hunt from trees.
I wonder.
What if it dropped on that deer and smushed the crap out of it, and that ranger come bipping down the trail about that time, and the thing was like, I need to get this guy the heck out of here so I can I can eat my deer. Yeah. Because he didn't say. I'm wondering that. That's a good point. I'm wondering because he didn't say how fresh of a kill it was. You know what I mean? So,
he probably didn't have time to determine that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of activity happening right after he saw that deer.
And if it happened the way DA said, that's probably why he didn't get a chance to determine that because, as I say in football, that was a bang bang play.
Yeah, time is of the essence.
Yeah,
I mean, and a cedar tree. Come on, man.
Sounds like Bigfoot hunts the way Mike Ditka played football, smash mouth hunting.
Man, that dude. I mean, he was all kinds of. Okay, I wouldn't say aggressive. I would just say this is territorial because he was just like, hey, homie, I'm here.
But clearly was not happy he was there.
No, he was not happy he was there. And he was like, yo,
Bigfoot was probably about to have supper with the chitlins, and this guy comes staggering through the buffet.
He's like, you got to go on now. Get on out of here.
There we go. Maybe it had chronic wasting disease and it killed it to cull it out. Animals can smell that stuff.
Dude, that's a good point, PW.
That is a real good point.
That's an excellent point. Damn.
So if they can perceive the sickness in a deer, it would make sense that they would want to keep it from spreading to the rest of the herd.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a good theory.
Yeah, that's a
That
great
kind of paints Bigfoot as a good theory.
yeah, that's a
That kind of paints Bigfoot as almost a forest ranger kind of picture.
yeah. And
But
Chris
then again, forest rangers that occasionally snatch up the lone hikers.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris Artigue makes a good point too. And I was thinking the same thing. That makes sense. The back is broken in two places. Could be where the feet hit it when it jumped down from the tree.
Right.
I was kind of thinking that earlier.
If I was a 1,000-pound monkey, I could probably hunt just by crushing things too.
Okay, so what about the deadfall? The deadfall.
That was a trap.
Structure.
That was like a Burmese man trap.
That's a little bit scary.
That's for bigger game.
That shows critical thinking. That shows intelligence. That shows tool using.
Cunning.
Exactly, dude.
What's the ratio on a deadfall, Doc? It's like 100
Maybe
pounds
like-
for every 100 pounds for every 50 pounds your intended target weighs, or something like that. In that right, DA? Something like that.
I think it's something like that. I can't remember the exact equation. It's in the SAS survival guide.
Yeah, there's an equation to it. I was just curious what the.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-to-1 ratio on weight.
And if you got trees that are your deadfall, I mean,
Yeah, you're planning on squishing something with some bulk to it.
yeah,
They might have been hunting other Bigfoot tribe members or maybe a moose.
true.
Moose is a big animal. Take a lot of force to kill a moose flat out.
They said,
Yeah.
"Get back, Moose! Get back!"
Gone.
Hey, Rookie.
Now the tracks, the stride, the gait. I mean, those were huge. All of it was huge. You know what I mean? And then why do you think they defaulted to storm damage?
Because it's a lot easier to explain than, angry Sasquatch damage.
Trees are
Even
down.
though- I'm sorry, Robbie. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say trees down on the ground. That's just the easiest thing for them to default to.
Right.
Storm damage.
And even though the Rangers know that's a very heavy very activity heavy area,
And the only time I have ever in my life seen a large tree twisted and splintered was from a tornado.
Same. And I'm thinking like one
Just
down.
it took an oak and just twisted it and
Yeah.
dropped it over.
Yeah, we had one that didn't touch down behind our house, and it was just twisting the tops out of pine trees.
But think about that, DA. That spiral type damage. What does that sound like?
Like grabbing an arm and twisting it like a spiral fracture.
Remember the PVC pipe we found in Joe Bald?
That's right. I'd forgotten about that. We found a big chunk. It was what, 3-inch PVC pipe?
Yep.
That looked like something had just twisted it apart like that. It wasn't cut. It was twisted apart.
Yeah, it was twisted and
I don't
broken.
remember that.
You weren't with us, Doc. That was just
Okay.
me and Robbie and Noah down there.
Okay.
I found the first piece and I looked at it, and you can tell the break was in like a curve, and I'm like, well, that looks weird. And I kept looking around. And I found the other piece and went to put them back straight, and I was like, and I rotated it just a little bit, and it fit perfectly.
Whoa.
So whatever had done it,
It was a 3-inch piece of PVC pipe that had gone.
And that stuff's thick too.
It ain't easy to break. It ain't easy to cut.
No. Woo wee.
Roxanne, I wonder how Bigfoot would act with someone singing "You Are So Beautiful" like Steve Lilly sings it. Well, he wouldn't like the way I sing it either. I'm a tone-deaf hillbilly, can't carry a tune in a bucket. Southwest Hunter says if there's the ability to determine sickness, weakness, good or bad, we know every hiker is not a good person. Good point. Even like that guy smells. We got to take him out of the herd. He's going to ruin the rest of the population.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting right there, though.
Arlen says freaky storm damage could be a directional tornado. Maybe, but they didn't say anything about inclement weather.
And that's a very, very strange thing to happen up there. And
Yeah, because those weather patterns don't tend to happen in the Pacific Northwest. Here in the Midwest, we get them all the time. But
I mean, that's just a rainforest up there, essentially.
Yeah.
triple canopy rainforest. I mean, it's a good point, but the weather pattern doesn't fit the geography.
And the aggression escalated fast.
Mm-hmm.
So either he was interrupting a meal or it really did not want him there.
Right. And you know, I mean, what happened up there in the Olympics, that wasn't just something strong. That was something sending a message in those woods. Don't y'all agree?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the coastal Salish tribes that live in that region, they say stay out of the Cascades because that belongs to the hairy man.
Really?
Yeah. They tell people stay the heck out of the Cascades, yet people still go missing every year in fairly significant numbers along the Cascade trails.
Well,
but the Salish said don't go up there.
Well, and you've said this before too. The tree breaking and tree throwing and ripping trees up. I mean, that's a big not symptom. That's a big indicator pattern up there in the Pacific Northwest, is it not?
Yeah.
You know, the trees getting messed around and deadfalls and all that kind of crap.
And if I recall correctly, the Pacific Northwest was the first place they started finding trees that had been snapped off, uprooted, and driven back in the ground. And they found them in Alaska. Now they found them in Canada. They found them in Minnesota, in Wisconsin, Montana, Idaho, and most recently the ones I heard of were Missouri in the Mark Twain National Forest, and then two old boys that were hiking in the Ozark National Forest. There's a ridge down there that I cannot remember what it's called. It's a big ridge line, and it runs through part of the Ozark National Forest. And supposedly they found a couple of those uprooted trees up along that ridge.
Wow. Where's Prince Edward Island? Is that in Canada?
Yeah, PEI is in Canada, but it's off the East Coast.
Okay.
You're thinking of Prince Albert Island on the West Coast.
That's the one where they
had PEI is off Nova Scotia, I believe.
Okay, so I'm thinking the one where they had the trees uprooted as like.
That's Prince Albert Island.
Okay, Prince Albert. The wrong Prince. My bad. So. So yeah, interesting.
I mean, isn't Snell Grove in the middle of those kind of?
Yeah, it's kind of smack in the middle of Canada. I believe if you were here to get to Snell Grove here from where I'm at, I think it's just almost due north. It is pretty deep into the Canadian interior, but it's kind of like smack in the middle of Canada.
Wow. Wow.
Southwest Hunters, that's why Squatch understands boomsticks. Well, deer understand what one is, and they're not necessarily the brightest animal on the planet, but I can tell you from experience, if you slow down and lean out your car door to take a picture, most deer will just look at you. But if they see anything they even think is a gun, they're gone.
Yep, you see the white flag, baby.
Yep.
Ain't that right, Doc?
Dang right, Doc. So what happened in the Olympics wasn't just strength, it was pure intent. Something in those woods was sending a message, a pretty loud and clear one in my opinion. But in some cases, the message isn't just left in the forest at all. Sometimes it's left in a place that should be impossible to breach, like a fire lookout tower.
Ugh.
Robbie, I believe this one's yours.
It sure is. The Idaho Fire Lookout Tower disappearance, or lookout disappearance. Sources and Case Foundation, 1960s U.S. Forest Service disappearance of a fire lookout in the Idaho Panhandle. How far is this from, like the Teddy Roosevelt area? Just out of curiosity before we go on.
The Idaho Panhandle? If I remember correctly...
Wasn't that the Bitterroot Range he was in?
Yeah, the Bitterroots are along the Idaho Montana border, I believe, if I remember correctly. I think since that's the Idaho Panhandle, That's closer to Washington and Oregon state than it is to Montana,
Okay.
I think. Doc, can you look that up?
I'm doing it right now.
Awesome. So basically what we're looking for is...
I just wondered if this is going to be posted. Because remember, we were talking about lookout towers in that episode. That's why I was kind of curious if this was close.
Yeah. It borders
this is in the Bitterroots.
Yeah.
This is where the Bitterroots and the Selkirks are.
Yep.
So yeah, it's right there by the Teddy Roosevelt Valley.
And there was something about something that we ended up talking about fire lookout towers on that one. That's why it made me think about it. Anyway, ranger station logs documenting structural damage to the tower, search and rescue reports noting no tracks leading away from the structure, interviews with former USFS personnel, referencing explained nighttime tower impacts. I wonder if that's supposed to be, unexplained. Well, let's say, why is it explained? Historical records of lookout vanishings in the Bitterroot and Selkirk range. I guess if I'd just shut up and kept on reading, I'd have got my own question answered.
Shut up and color.
Shut up and color. The tower that went quiet. Fire lookouts are built to be unshakable. Steel legs anchored into bedrock. Cabins bolted tight against the mountain winds. A single human perched above the world, watching for the first thin thread of smoke. In the summer of 1967, lookout James Hale was stationed at Cooper Ridge Lookout in the Idaho Panhandle National Forest. Hale was a veteran, calm, methodical, and known for his meticulous logs. He worked the tower for 3 seasons without incident. But on the night of July 2nd, something reached the tower that shouldn't have been able to. Hale's final radio call came in at 11:42 p.m. Static, a pause, then Hale's voice, tight and strained. "Something's hitting the legs." Dispatch asked him to repeat, and he didn't. The radio went dead. At first light, a ranger team hiked the ridge. The tower stood against the sky, silent, unmoving, but as they approached, they saw the damage. The southwest support leg, a steel beam thicker than a man's arm, was bent inward, as if something had struck it with tremendous force. Fresh scrape marks ran along the metal and deep and uneven. Ranger Bill Carter climbed the stairs, calling Hale's name. There was no answer. At the top, the lookout cabin was empty. The door was open. The latch was broken. Inside, Hale's logbook lay on the desk, open to the previous night's entry. Hearing movement below the tower, heavy, not elk. 11:30 p.m., something circling. 11:41 p.m., impact on the south leg. Whole tower shook. The last line was unfinished, just a single word: climbing. The search team fanned out around the tower. They found no tracks, no drag marks, no sign of a fall, and no sign of Hale. The ground beneath the tower was undisturbed, as if it had simply stepped out of existence. But there was one more detail. On the underside of the cabin, where the floor beams met the steel frame, rangers found deep gouges. 4 parallel marks, each nearly a foot long, carved into the wood from below. Something had climbed the tower, something strong enough to bend steel, something tall enough to reach the cabin floor, something that left no tracks. The official report listed Hale as missing, presumed deceased. But the rangers who worked at Cooper Ridge after that refused to stay in that tower alone. Some say they heard footsteps at the stairs at night. Others said that they felt the tower sway when there was no wind. And one ranger years later said quietly, whatever took Hale didn't come up the stairs.
Dude. Holy
That was
crap.
a first one.
That is very creepy. I mean, that poor dude, I mean, he's been gone, disappeared, just gone, man. And that last journal entry, that last log entry, climbing, shoo-wee.
My last journal entry would have been flying because I was flying out the window.
Loading.
Loading, unloading, loading, unloading, loading, unloading.
I mean, it makes you wonder. I mean, do those lookouts are they even armed?
They're there to look for fires. They're
Right.
probably not given anything to protect themselves. I mean, who would think something was going to get to them up in one of those steel towers?
That's the truth.
There's
man.
still several of them here in Missouri, even though they haven't been used in years. I could take you right to one, like on the way to Moon Valley, where we go through, when we went through Buffalo, heading out 32 highway toward Moon Valley. If we turned left right there in Buffalo instead of heading south toward north toward Moon Valley, it'd take us right to one of those fire towers, just a few miles up the road. So there's still a bunch of them around.
Yeah, that is. I mean, yeah, nobody would think, like Robbie said, nobody would think it's going to freaking climb it.
Right.
I mean, and the fact that it bent steel support.
It had to have hit it with a tree or something. Surely it didn't just grab it and bend it. I mean, that's like, yeah.
You know, that is insane.
Jeff Yarrington says he'd be armed even if it was frowned upon.
I'm with you, Jeff. I'm with you,
I
brother.
wouldn't want to hike in there unarmed.
Negative. Pattern is full, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, in his last radio transmission, it's hitting the legs.
Dude. That's, I mean, and with if there's those historical patterns, you know, in that mountain range, and then other people who had stayed after he disappeared, they refused to go solo, and they still reported the same freaking activity.
Right. This thing wanted him, and it got him.
But then, you know, the ranger years later that said whatever took him didn't come up the stairs.
It climbed the superstructure.
But that coincides with what he said, climbing.
Yeah, and Miss Lene had a good question. So do you think that it carried the lookout down?
I would say if it's capable of dropping out of a treetop and crushing a deer, it may have just grabbed him and jumped off the edge of the tower. And it said specifically that those were steel legs buried into bedrock. So that says that ground right there is probably rocky as all get out.
How tall are these towers typically?
The one I know of up toward Osage Beach. Actually, it's between Buffalo and Camdenton, but the one I know of has got to be all of 80 feet.
So
I mean,
if he jumped out, he wasn't going to survive a jump out. If it's
he wasn't. No,
that's what I'm saying. If he jumped out, they'd have found.
They'd have found bits of. They'd have found him smushed down at the base of the tower, but they didn't find a trace of him.
That's
So
what
it
I'm saying.
either jumped or climbed back down the tower and carried him off.
Yeah. King Kong climbs skyscrapers. Bigfoot climbs fire towers. I'm with you, Northwoods. I'm with you, son. Okay, Lone Queen. So was it trying to scare him or figure out the best way to reach the top, or both?
I think by smashing the legs, it was trying to make him come down.
Good point.
Yeah,
And when he didn't come out, it went to him.
Yeah, Southwest Hunter says 100 to 110 feet. Challenge says 60 to 120 feet. So way up there. Probably depending on the terrain you're in, too.
Eric says there's one by Bennett Springs. That's right. There is one over by Bennett.
Huh.
Yeah, they're still scattered around, but since satellite technology has improved so much, and they use spotter planes now, they don't man them anymore. They used to man those things 24/7, especially in the dry seasons. But every one of them are now chain link fence around them that's locked, and of course the tower itself is locked. There was one outside of Lebanon that we used to, when I was in high school, they let us have access to it to do experiments in school. We would drop parachutes and measure wind resistance stuff when I was in physics class. But the local volunteer firefighters, the chief would meet us out there, unlock the fence, and let us in.
Well, that's cool.
But I've been up in some of those towers.
I ain't never been up one. That's kind of rad. I mean, I grew up
They're
seeing
kinda neat.
Mississippi all the time. Yeah, they were all over Mississippi, down there in the Pine Belt region. Huh.
But if it'd been me, boys, and it was hitting the legs of the tower, I'd have radioed in that it was hitting the legs, but they'd have heard cat, 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 but in between me talking, in between words, they'd heard the sharp report of a rifle.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, you are not wrong. Better living through superior firepower.
Dang right.
Danger close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch. Oh, mercy.
What was that movie where they didn't have the mortar tube, so they were smacking the bottom of the mortars and using them as hand grenades? Was that Saving Private Ryan when they did that?
I think it was.
I can't remember.
He said they didn't have a mortar tube. My brain went to, we fired our cannon until the barrel melted down, so we grabbed an alligator and we fought another round.
Fought another round. Filled his butt with cannonballs and powdered his behind, and when we touched the powder off, the gator lost his mind.
That's immediately where my brain went.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Oh, Johnny Horton.
Roxanne says, wasn't there a fire tower not far from Silver Dollar City? I wouldn't be surprised. I think there's still several all over Southwest Missouri, because I don't think we ever tore ours down. I think that they're still, in some cases, not only accessible, but easily seen from the road. Because I don't think we really started using spotter planes up until the 90s. They were still relying on eyeballs up there looking out for fire. General says Google says 30 to 60 feet for western U.S. average, some as high as 120 feet. Well, that one down there toward on the other side of Buffalo, it's got to be all 80 feet, maybe even more. Lone Queen says the fire tower near me, I think they removed the ladder to keep people out, dude. It'd be cool if I could locate access to one of those. If I could locate somebody to get access. I don't know who manages them, whether it's fire departments or MDC, but if we could get access to a remote one and set up a base camp up there, we could observe the entire area with FLIR.
Who's bringing the mines? We're going to string claymores all over it like Christmas tree ornaments, son. No, that would be excellent. You think get up there with a freaking FLIR or thermal camera,
launch drones from up there, set up solar panel collectors.
Yep, pan around up there. That would be,
dude. That would be a great base camp.
Wyatt said call him.
Right now or after the show?
Yeah, DA call me. Yeah, so maybe he knows there's some trouble we can get into.
I think it'd be worth doing it.
Of course.
Yes. Yes.
Josh Dalton says some of them are still manned in the western U.S. I'm not surprised. Chris Artigue says, Bigfoot aside, working in one of those would have been a cool job. Yeah, until something started wringing the legs.
You had to be ducking poop, that's for sure.
Hey, Robert Denduvet said, I've seen here on YouTube some people who have rented fire towers for a few days. That would be a great place to set up a base camp. If we could get one for 4 or 5 days or a week and set up solar chargers. And
I imagine some people have probably gotten them things and turned them into Airbnbs.
That would be cool.
Probably so. But the bathroom's down at the bottom. Just kidding.
I seen somebody who had an old airplane on their property that they turned an old airplane fuselage into an Airbnb. I mean,
that's cool.
People will pay for it. I mean, why not?
Well, we know from our Teddy Roosevelt show, and that was set in the Bitterroots, just how many people have gone missing in that area.
Yeah.
And if this was in the Bitterroot Ranges, it's got to be not far from the infamous Bowman Valley.
So I wonder if this tower is in was it Echo area or
Zone Echo.
Zone Echo? I wonder if that tower is in Zone Echo, because everything in Zone Echo is markedly more aggressive than most of the other stuff we've read about. This was a really aggressive encounter.
Yeah.
Huh. That'd be cool.
I'm telling you, that would be even if you weren't hunting Bigfoot, that'd be one heck of a deer stand.
Yes, that Cajun Dog says some dude in Oklahoma hunts out of one. Ain't that right, Doc? We go hunting out of a fire tower? Yeah.
PW, well, you're kind of correct, but I'm trying to force myself to build up my endurance more and more. So hopefully by the time the weather warms back up, I'll be back to prowling and growling. Maybe not as much as I once did, but I'm going to get back out there. I mean, I'm 55. I ain't dead yet. So I'm going to do what I love as long as I can.
I'm not quite dead yet.
That's right. I'm not dead yet. That's cool. Northwood says the Isaac Walden Inn in the middle of Glacier National Park has old train cars converted to cabins. Josh Dalton says the U.S. government jobs forestry technician. Look out for state forestry department.
The little people want to make Doc their leader. I ain't that little. Dang, I'm 5'6".
Maybe they meant the dog.
Maybe so. Maybe she meant this little dog. I don't know.
Miss Lene said she'd want an air conditioner and an elevator.
Definitely an air conditioner, especially in the summertime.
No kidding. But in the wintertime, that wind would get nasty up there.
Wee. Yes. Sir.
Roxanne says, Dad, be a great idea if MDC would let you rent a tower. Nighthawk, William, I'm right there with you, brother. I ain't quite dead yet. Just smell that way sometimes.
No, that's just Harley laying in front of the heater cooking.
Well, that's where he's at right now. He's literally right there. Miss Lene, if I could move I could probably try. The floor over here is kind of messy. I think you'll recognize something in the floor, Miss Lene. Let me move this. He's laying there with his toy Sasquatch. He has stolen my heater. There we go.
Dude, your breath smells like hot garbage. Ugh.
So you ready for me to segue us into the next segment, DA?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what happened at Copper River or Copper Ridge, not Copper River. I'm hungry. I'm thinking of the restaurant. Wasn't just a disappearance. It was a breach, and one in a place that rangers believed was untouchable. But the most violent case of all didn't happen in a tower or a cabin. It happened on a roadside turnout in the Smoky Mountains, where a ranger's vehicle was found crushed like a soda can. DA, you want to take us into this one?
Yeah, this one's called the Smoky Mountains Vehicle Attack. The sources and case foundations comes from Great Smoky Mountains National Park incident logs in the 1980s. This is a documented ranger vehicle found crushed and abandoned. National Park Service internal reports say severe, unexplained structural damage to a patrol jeep. Search and rescue notes indicate no tracks, no drag marks, and no sign of the missing ranger. Ranger interviews describing nighttime roars, metal impacts, and vehicle rocking incidents in the remote Smokies turnouts. Historical disappearances in Cades Cove and Deep Creek corridors. The crushed Jeep. The Smoky Mountains are beautiful in daylight, and I can tell you this personal experience, having been up there, they are beautiful. Rolling ridges, soft blue haze, and quiet valleys. But at night, the Smokies become something else entirely. Fog settles low, the trees crowd the road, and the darkness feels thick enough to touch. In the fall of 1989, Ranger Michael Anders was assigned to a late-night patrol along the Deep Creek Corridor, an area known for poachers, illegal camps, and the occasional missing hiker. Anders was experienced, steady, and respected, the kind of ranger who didn't scare easy. At around 2:17 a.m., he radioed dispatch from a turnout near the creek. Checking a vehicle, looks abandoned, I'll advise. That was his last transmission. When Anders failed to check in again, dispatch sent a second ranger to his location. The turnout was easy to spot. The patrol jeep's headlights were still on, cutting through the fog. But the jeep itself, well, it didn't look real. The roof was crushed down, caved in as if something had dropped a massive weight onto it. The metal wasn't dented, it was folded, creased like paper. The driver's side door was bent outward, the steel warped and torn. The windshield was shattered from the inside out. Anders was gone. He imagined probably what happens when they crushed that roof down. He couldn't open the doors. He had to kick the windshield to get out. Anders was gone. Ranger Tom Whitlow was the first on the scene, and he later said it looked like the Jeep had been squeezed. The ground around the vehicle told an even stranger story. There were no tracks, no drag marks, no sign of a struggle, no sign of Anders walking away. Just the crushed Jeep sitting in the turnout like a broken toy. Whitlow circled the vehicle with his flashlight, and that's when he saw the marks. Long, deep gouges in the metal of the roof. 4 parallel lines, each one nearly a foot long, each one carved into the steel. He stepped back, heart pounding. Then he noticed something else. The Jeep had been moved. Its tire tracks showed it had originally been parked straight, and now it sat at an angle, as if something had lifted the front end and set it down again. Backup arrived within minutes, and the team fanned out, searching the creek and the tree line and the road. They found nothing. No body, no clothing, no blood, no sign of the missing ranger. The official report listed this as a vehicle accident, but the rangers who saw the Jeep disagreed. Accidents don't fold steel roofs inward. Accidents don't leave claw marks. Accidents don't move vehicles sideways. And accidents don't make a ranger vanish without a trace. For weeks afterwards, rangers reporting strange activity in the Deep Creek corridor. Roars echoing through the fog. Heavy footfalls pacing the road at night. Vehicles getting rocked while they were parked, and metallic impacts on patrol trucks. Some rangers even refused to patrol the area. One ranger, years later, said quietly, "Whatever crushed that Jeep, it wasn't trying to hide. It was making a point."
Dude, that's vehicle accident. I love all these. I love all these freaking lame-o freaking explanations.
He was in a car wreck. The roof was caved in, but the fenders and wheels, they were fine. Doc, wonder if he asked his insurance agent if it was covered by large boulders falling out of the sky.
Dude, you should have seen that. You should have seen that rental guy. This was before I drove out to see y'all. And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Don't worry about it."
Come again.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, but I mean, dude, the way the roof is folded in, the door was literally ripped off. The vehicle was moved. Yeah, I'm buying vehicle accident. And
yeah, totally.
And it's right in one spot, and the dude's missing.
Yeah,
and no blood.
No blood, no tracks.
If he'd have had a bad vehicle accident, chances are there's going to be some blood. I worked my fair share of vehicle accidents in my 30 years as a police officer. And usually when cars are tore up that bad, even if you wear a seatbelt, you're going to have some type
absolutely
of cut or something. So,
and accidents don't leave 4-foot long gouges in the roof either.
Right.
Unless it runs
Lone
over.
Queen says Great Smoky Mountains, Cades Cove areas where Dennis Martin disappeared, and they are way too close to my house, especially now.
Wow.
Hey,
Dang.
There's a reason that I set book 3 in that area. That's the area.
Miss Lene, that's as good as an explanation as anything.
Could have been.
It really is. But I know we weren't far from Cades Cove in our cabin, and I don't think it was a dog man that we had pacing our cabin. Cabin got slapped. We found, what was it, about a 17-inch track?
Yep.
About an inch and a, pressed about an inch and a half into rocky soil. Yeah, I don't think it was a dog man that we had around our cabin that night.
Could have been an upright saber tooth for all we know, you know.
Yeah, might have been. Certainly the right area for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I love you too.
Kay Bauer says we know a thing or two because we sing a thing or two.
Mm-hmm.
We are farmers.
You better hope they had farmers on that Jeep.
You ain't lying.
I think that one's more of the be better protected by or from mayhem like me. Fits that one.
That is definitely mayhem. So why do you think they listed it as a vehicle accident?
Honestly, because of the insurance, they had to explain why that vehicle was tore up like it was, and that's the only thing that they could think that is. Oh, he must have been flying around the curve and lost control and flipped the vehicle and caused it to fold in on itself like this. And
Yeah, because how else do you explain all that damage? You know what I mean? We
Well,
suspect it.
what about the other vehicle?
That's what I was-
This says nothing of it because his last radio report in was checking a vehicle, looks abandoned, all advised, and then nothing.
So I wonder what happened to the person that was in that other vehicle.
Exactly.
or was the other vehicle there when the other Ranger got there? Because there was
it wasn't a pair of teenagers that jumped on the top of that Jeep and jumped up and down and stomped it in.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just saying. I wonder if there were some kids there, he and she in, like they apt to be as he pulls in, and this thing jumps on him because his lights were on,
Right.
and they see it instead of trying to help, they just
It could look abandoned because they wasn't. It could look abandoned because they was horizontal, you know.
Yeah.
So,
but the report makes no mention of what was found with that other vehicle.
So I'm thinking if that they was in there, they heard something, they sat up, they see this thing attacking friends. That thing attacked that car.
We gone.
And they were like,
We're going to bid you a hasty adios.
Get pulled over. Why do you have no clothes on? Don't worry about it.
Because I ran so fast, I ran right out of them.
Exactly. Golly, dude. That's yeah.
Plus reports of roars and things walking in the fog.
Okay, so vocalizations, right?
Clearly vocalizations.
clearly this was a very very aggressive encounter. So and predatory is what it sounds like.
Well, and there's in that Deep Creek corridor, what you're talking about too, DA. There's a history of disappearances there, is there not?
Yep. Well, the Dennis Martin case was right there.
That's right. So
there is a big history of disappearances in that corridor.
So there's precedence right there.
And,
you know what I mean?
And I'm gonna tell you, Cades Cove is a spooky area.
I've been in Cades Cove. Yep.
I mean,
Well, you drive 5 minutes out of Gatlinburg and it's spooky.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be very far from town. Because we were only about 15 minutes out of Gatlinburg in our cabin, and we were isolated.
Yeah, dude. I know, having gone up there several times. I remember one time I was hiking. I just went on a little hike down by this creek, and it was just right outside of town. You may know what I'm talking about, but there's a little trail, and dude, all of a sudden everything got quiet, and I was like, you know what? It's probably a good time to go back to town. And I was already about a mile and a half in. I made that mile and a half back a lot quicker.
That whole area, though, there's all forms of wildlife are so acclimated to people in that area because there's so many people in and out of that area that there is no buffer zone between wildlife and people.
No.
There was a video.
There
was a video of a guy walking across. And it looked. I didn't see exactly where that, but it looked like he was close to Blake Shelton's restaurant, Old Red's. It looks like it was right around there, close to where we ate. What was that restaurant we ate at, DA?
I can't remember the name of it.
Anyway, it looked like it was right close to that area because that where he was crossing the road was like right there. Black bear crossing the road. From video, it looks like he's just trying to shoo it across the road. He gets up behind it, kind of pops it on the butt. That thing turns around and swats at him.
While we were staying there, Annette and I sat out on the balcony of the hotel we were in. Well, while we were there, we watched multiple black bears walk through the parking lot.
Yeah, there's no buffer zone between.
No,
we stayed at Margaritaville, right there behind Reds.
that's funny. Yeah, they're like that at the Air Force Academy too. The bears, because I was up there working when I was doing my reserve duty, and we were going to take some trash out to the dumpster, there's bears all around the dumpster. We're like, all right, so we can wait till tomorrow to take this trash out. We're good.
Yeah,
you didn't do the John Candy. Here you go, nice egg nut.
That's funny.
Lone Queen says we actually have quite a few disappearances in my area. Pallades did a couple of episodes of missing near me, in addition to the Smoky Mountain ones.
Well, the whole thing about what it's a good point on here, how it went from a roar to the Jeep was destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's
in the aftermath, they mentioned other vehicles getting shoved.
Right.
Something smacking and rocking vehicles when they'd be driving up there.
Yeah. Getting shoved and other roars, things like that. So, I mean, going from a roar to getting destroyed, man. You know, that's. I mean, you think it's different ones because some of them are just yelling at them to get out, and then some of them are like, "You look like a tasty morsel." I don't know.
Again, I think it would be timing. I mean,
yeah.
How many people have had peaceful encounters with bears, but it don't take but one. The wrong bear or the wrong time, get between a cub, or it's getting ready to hibernate and it's hungry.
Yeah, it's hungry. Yeah, I was just say how long.
Depends on the circumstances.
How long's it been since it's eaten? Absolutely.
Well, I look at the grizzly man. How many times was he around that one particular bear that ended up killing him?
Quite a few times. He even had names for all of them.
Yeah.
And did it kill him and his girlfriend both?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it came through bear fencing because they had put up bear fencing around their tent.
Oh, great.
Yep.
I got a bear fence. Lovely.
So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there is no, when you're dealing with creatures like this in nature, no matter what they are, there is no, oh, well, I've been around in the woods all my life and nothing's ever happened. Okay, good. You've been lucky because you can't go into the woods with an attitude of, well, it's never going to happen to me.
Oh, it's like the analogy you always use, Robbie. Here, I got this glass full of seawater. See, there ain't no sharks in it.
Yep.
So sharks don't exist.
Yeah, they don't exist. So, yeah, man, that's a straight up aggro.
Well, this attack went from nothing to straight on attack.
Yeah.
Dude was gone. The guy didn't even have time to radio in. He was under attack.
That's fast, man. That's
I think if it came up and started smashing down on the roof of my Jeep, I would have got on the radio and you'd have heard me cacking rounds through a window. But I would have got on the radio calling for backup.
Yeah, I'll be calling for backup as I'm
here's something. Okay, what about this? Because we hadn't said this. He radioed in that he was checking an abandoned vehicle, right? Or what appeared to be. What if he pulled up, got out, then the attack happened?
That makes a lot of sense.
That's why the door's open. That's why he never called back in on the radio.
It could have done a lot of damage, and if you crush a vehicle from the top, the windshield will pop out. So he may not have He may not have been in the vehicle at all when that thing landed. So
Yeah.
it may have dropped out of a tree, something that
Yeah.
weighs 800 to 900 pounds, maybe even north of 1,000. Something big like that landing on the roof would cave that Jeep in, no problem.
Yeah.
And
And
if it
was
landed
probably
center
on
of
him
the
before
roof,
he knew what hit him.
it would
Boom.
probably fold up like that, and it
Long
probably hit.
Queen,
It could have hit the roof and then turned and jumped on him.
Long Queen's got a good point too. If that vehicle had a couple in it, the pheromones could have attracted it, and it could have been there, and it got him first.
Yeah. Go for the easiest target first.
And like what I said, they hear it, they look up, they see it, and they're like, "Deuces." Put yourself in that situation though. You see that and you see it happening, you drive off. How do you call that in and get help for somebody? I just saw a ranger get attacked by a Bigfoot.
Right. And well, Robbie, if you rolled up there and if you went out to say, what's that? What that park where your first book was set?
The
horse pasture.
Yeah, the horse pasture. Thank you.
Okay.
My
Let's
mind
say-
went, "Oh."
Let's say you're working patrol and you go out there, report of an abandoned vehicle, but what you find is a couple of amorous teenagers. If the minute you step out of your patrol car, something big lands on the roof of your patrol car and caves it in, what are you going to say on the radio? What do you even say?
Right.
And do
Right.
I even have time to say anything? Because
Right, because it might have went boom and then went right off on him. But at the same time, if you could get a radio call off, all I could say is shots fired. Deputy, and I'm under attack, and then let them figure it out when they get there.
yeah,
Because assuming they did come and find you, if you tell them that story, they're like, "Oh, bull crap!" And then you point at the car and go, "Yeah, tell me what did that then."
Dang,
I
dude.
just hope and pray that I remember to hit my body camera as soon as I jump out.
Well, of course, that was, I think, when did they say that was? Was that in the 70s?
I don't know when the
1980s. That might have been before dash cams.
yeah that was before dash cams, because there was no dash cams when I first started, which is in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
We
But
didn't-
then again, he was a park ranger, so maybe the feds had him. I know we didn't.
Maybe I mean, I don't know if a park ranger would. Maybe some of their class 1 officers would have had him, but I don't know what
Yeah.
this guy's designation was. So he might have.
Well, if
just
he
been
was checking remote parking spots, he probably wasn't like a game warden.
Yeah,
He's probably just a ranger.
yeah.
Out
So-
patrolling the park, making sure everybody was okay. Lone Queen says there may have been more than one as well.
True. Could have been working in teams. Could have done a little shake and bake.
Folks, we got to take another quick break. So if you want to, top off your glass of tea, get yourself a cup of coffee, stretch the leg, scratch the dog, or take a quick pause for the cause, we are going to be right back after a short break. So we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the dead rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and Man's Marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of D.A. Roberts.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with D.A. Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
And we are back, folks. Doc hadn't quite made it back yet, but Robbie and I are back.
My little short legs is moving as fast as they can.
Docs are yours.
That's the way it sounds when I'm running. Everybody.
But boys, look at the similarities with these calls. But when you look at all of these stories side by side, and you look at and you even examine them based on the descriptions of other stories that we've previewed over the last few weeks, we're seeing a lot of similarities, behavior-wise, description-wise, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and like I said, and even in different areas of the United States, we're still seeing the same types of behavioral patterns. That's the thing that gets me, is like all across the United States, all these encounters have very similar behavioral patterns. Now these are pretty freaking aggro right here, because these are people missing, like gone. You know, the hiker, the ranger, gone. So you buy the lookout.
Yeah.
So that's a totally different story.
Oh, yeah. But apparently, disappearances are not all that uncommon in that area.
Guess not. Especially in Yosemite. And I didn't know that was such a big cluster of disappearance out there.
Yeah, next to Yellowstone, it's the second largest cluster of disappearances that Pilates has profiled. What he refers to as incident clusters. Yosemite is either the second largest or the largest. It's right there with Yellowstone. One of Yosemite may be the most. You know what? I'm going to look that up real quick. Give me
and how
just
big
a
of a
second.
cave system do they have out there?
Oh, it's fairly extensive.
Okay, there you go. Oh.
Let me look that up real quick. I'm going to have to pull it up on the Googles.
Googles.
I will tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up that map and then share the screen so everybody can take a look at it.
Miss Lene has a good question. Am I the only one that feels like this is the behavior of an animal getting food?
Yeah, I think it's definitely predation.
Northwoods, the way the federal agencies handle these situations is a different kind of cluster. Yeah, not surprising there.
You ain't wrong. All right, let me bring this up. Looks like I was incorrect, Doc. I think Yosemite is the biggest. Let me bring this up. So, yeah, add this to the screen. So if you look right here, this is Yosemite. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but it's Yosemite is on the left side, about midway up California. And then, of course, Yellowstone is north of there, but it looks like Yosemite is the biggest cluster.
Oh, wow.
With another one right in Robbie's backyard, another huge cluster that looks like it's right in the South Carolina, East Tennessee area.
There's some out in my area, too. A little cluster in that area, too.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you've got a cluster above you too, DA.
Yep.
Sure do.
So there's a reason for that. So Yosemite is the biggest.
Well, I don't want to be around any of them.
It says the biggest clusters of missing 411 cases identified by David Paulides are heavily concentrated in mountainous, forested, and national park areas. Key hotspots include Pennsylvania, the highest state concentration, Yosemite National Park, the highest park concentration, the Grand Canyon, and various locations across the Pacific Northwest. Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona, known for significant number of missing person cases, with estimates exceeding 1,100 people over the last 30 years.
Pretty good bit.
That's a lot of folks.
And William Nighthawk just said underground waterways, caverns, and lava tubes connected by water.
There you go.
And we've said that on many shows that they use the
caves.
They use the caves and the waterways as their transportation.
So when we put all of this information together, when we start talking about all this, we're painting a much more graphic picture of a behavior, of predictable behavior of an unknown species. So people can bury their head in the sand all they want. They can say, oh, Bigfoot doesn't exist. You guys are crazy. But like Robbie has said, what is it? I'll let Robbie tell it. What is it you said, Robbie, about it being easier?
It's easier to believe that it's a real creature than it is to believe it's a hoax. Now, if you really just look at all the evidence, look at, and like we said, if there's 1 million reports out there and 999,000 of them are proven to be a hoax and one of them is proven to be real, that means it's real.
I agree.
And for this to be a hoax would take a worldwide global organization that employs probably billions of people.
Yeah.
Like a secret society that goes back 1,000 years.
Yeah, and that nobody that is sworn to more secrecy than any national security agency that we know of, because nobody has ever come forward and said, you know what, I'm part of this big organization and we fake. You would think if that was the case, if it really was that, somebody would have said something or let something out of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we say, nobody ever come forward and said, hey, I'm Bauman.
Right.
Exactly.
Some things are just something that you can't keep your mouth shut about.
Well, kind of like that guy that came forward that claimed he was the dude in the Patterson-Gimlin suit.
Yeah.
The more proof he offered that he was the guy, the more he made himself look like an idiot because he couldn't reproduce it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you give him modern, like 90s stuff, and he can't reproduce something that he made
in the
in the
1960s. William, you're absolutely right. We've discussed that on this show quite a few times. If you take a map like we just showed of the missing 411 and you overlay that map with a map of the United States known cave systems, they line up perfectly. And that's just an absolute statement of fact. It is not us, postulating. It's not a rumor. Let me see if I can find the overlay.
Well,
And,
what's funny about that is we did that show, and 3 months after we did that show, there's a lady on TikTok that's called the Map Lady, and she suspiciously put a map or 3 maps up that look just like the ones that we put up, and was saying the exact same things that we were saying. That, she goes, I don't know if you believe in, you can call it Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, but it's sure funny that all these maps match up, line up.
That's ironical.
She got over 1 million followers on TikTok. That's another one that we did it months before a bigger person said something about it.
Okay, boys, let's bring this up and show it, shall we? And folks, the upper map is the David Paulides missing 411 cases. The lower map is the map of the United States known cave systems.
A clue.
Yep. Everywhere there's large sections of clusters, like all up the Appalachian Trail. It completely follows with known caves.
Or all them caves in Missouri.
Yeah, look, Missouri's riddled with caves.
It's also riddled with disappearances.
Yes, it is. So, proof's in the pudding, folks. This isn't just us speculating. It's not us blowing smoke. There's the map. The map of David Paulides' missing 411 clusters coincides perfectly with maps of known U.S. cave systems. Williams says, please compare it to aquifers. I'll have to build one of those because I don't think I've got a map that shows known aquifers. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find a map of the aquifers. Okay, I can't bring them up at the same time because I just don't have the time to quickly make a map with the comparisons. But you'll just have to remember what that other map was, and I will bring this one up. This is a map of the U.S. aquifers. So if you remember where the cave systems were and the missing 411 were, well, here's the aquifers.
That looks really similar.
Yeah. With aquifers running up all the way up the Appalachians, all across the Midwest, and there's a huge one under California, right through Yosemite. You can see my cursor on the screen. There's the aquifer that goes right under Yosemite. There's the aquifer under Missouri, and there's the Appalachian aquifer, all with those exactly where those caves are.
Yep.
So I don't think we're out of line by saying that that's not a coincidence. PW says Missouri is also riddled with bad drivers. Clearly, you've been to St. Louis.
Yeah, come out to Colorado.
Oh, thank you,
think-
Miss Lene. She said she was
I
just
think-
about to send that map to me.
Every state's riddled with bad drivers.
Oh, yeah, you ain't lying.
Every state I've driven in's got bad drivers.
Sorry, excuse me. Long day. What's up?
CD Squatcher says lots of sightings in Florida, too. Well, look how much moisture they've got. Not only does it rain a lot down there, they've got the whole Okefenokee water system. The whole swamp system is just, it's teeming with life and water. Well, William says, good. Thank you, guys. I'm not crazy. Water is the key. Well, we've said from the beginning that the three things that you've got to have for them to have habitat is shelter, food, and water. Everything has to have shelter, food, and water. And even in the desert, those things are still available if they know where to look. And if they're adapted to their environment, they know where to look. I mean, Native American tribes have lived in the deserts of the Southwest for thousands of years. If there wasn't water out there, they would have died out a long time ago. But there are water sources out there. You just got to know where to find them.
That's a fact.
Yes, I love you too.
Well, boys, I think we've pretty thoroughly covered the subject. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I say the encounters definitely stepped up in aggression.
They
Yes.
kind of speak for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that they're all from credible people. They're all from the rangers, and these people are in professions that like we said it before. With the law enforcement, what's it going to benefit them to lie?
Exactly. Actually, it's probably better that they don't come forward.
Correct. So I mean, the fact that these are credible sources adds even more weight to these stories. To me,
I would have definitely agreed.
ain't that right, Doc?
Doc doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He just
He's like,
he just
rub my belly.
he's just like, have you seen this belly? Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just
Rock-
scritches.
Roxanne says, wouldn't a lot of the cave systems be dark? Then how would Bigfoot see in the dark? I'm glad you asked that question, because we here have pioneered yet another theory that is actually starting to show up on other channels. We talked about tongue clicks, a possibility that they do that with their mouth instead of beating on trees all the time. We're not saying it's 100% all the time that they do it with their mouth, but I'm saying that they probably do it quite a bit. And why would they do that, Robbie?
Well, years and years ago, I watched a show where a guy was blind and he taught himself how to echolocate by doing exactly what DA just did. And here again, Doc, what do I always say about finding answers? Where do we need to look?
Nature.
And Doc, being the medical guy, are there known animal species that use echolocation to find their way around?
Many bats, dolphins, whales.
So would it be out of the realm of possibility to think that if a human can teach himself to do that that's born blind, would it be out of the realm of possibility to think that these things can learn how to do it?
No, absolutely not. And even if they've got the tapetum lucidum in the back of their eyes, that only works if there's ambient light. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like night vision. Night vision in total darkness, it doesn't work. You got to have an IR illuminator to give you the light. So, yeah, man, I 100% concur with that theory.
Well,
right.
there's something else that cave explorers have talked about. When they get past a certain depth, a lot of really deep cave explorers have talked about same thing that deep ocean explorers have talked about: creatures with bioluminescence and even glowing fungus.
Yeah, Lone Queen literally just said that. So yeah, that's crazy, man.
And if they have a much thicker layer of tapetum lucidum, not only would it greatly improve their night vision, it would also allow them to have even the smallest amount of light give them plenty to see by, which would explain why mostly they're seen at night. Not always, but mostly. And a lot of people have described their eyes as self-illuminating, which I don't think their eyes actually physically glow. I think that tapetum lucidum layer is so powerful, so thick, that what your people are seeing is their tapetum lucidum is even reflecting ambient starlight. Any amount of light whatsoever, their eyes are going to pick up and redirect because it improves their overall night vision. That's what tapetum lucidum does. It's a layer on the back side of the eyeball that when the light comes in, it reflects the light back out to give the pupil a second chance to enhance the light image, to use what little light it has to improve its night vision. And that's why most animals have far better night vision than humans, because we don't possess tapetum lucidum. Either we evolved to no longer need it, or we never had it in the first place.
Yep.
That's why human eyes don't glow in the dark when you hit them with a flashlight. But light up a dog or a cat and see what happens. So I would definitely think that they're adapted to an underground environment. One of the other things we've often talked about was not only their deep vocal capability, but people reporting hearing these huge intakes of breath and then deep exhales. That would allow them to go way deeper than humans can go, because the air gets a little thin once you start getting pretty low.
Yeah. So, like I said, we've been talking about this for about 3 years now. I think it was about 3 years ago that me, you, and Noah was doing that show, and it just kind of
clicked.
Yeah, we were talking, and you were talking about the tongue clicks, and it just popped in my head about that show that I watched, and I speculated it to you and Noah, and we started working on this. And sure enough, over time, we've talked about it and kept, we've mentioned it in other shows subsequently. Over time, it's kind of gaining traction, and there's other shows they're talking about it now. And, I just think it's very plausible if a guy who was blind can teach himself to do that, then they should be able to also. I mean, it's a known thing that happens in the animal kingdom.
Right.
And
so
if a human can do it, it's not something that you have to be. It's either something that anybody can do anytime, any animal can just learn how to do it, or that one person was just a genetic anomaly that happened to be born with whatever he needed to be able to do that. So I think it's innately something that anybody could learn how to do. Doc, right. What would you say on that?
Yes.
You think he was a genetic anomaly, then he was blind and just happened to be born with whatever he needed to process the.
No, because Kay Bowers even said there was a kid in his school that was blind and would go around tongue popping, and he said now it makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, how'd they figure it out? I don't know, but if you take away one of your senses, what happens to the others? They become sharper. Yeah.
Marcus C. Antonius says, which area do you think has the most dangerous Bigfoot?
Alaska.
Yeah, I would definitely say Alaska. But there's a reason for that. What we've compared types of Bigfoot to types of bears. Down here in the lower 48 and the lower states, we got black bears. We got plenty of them. Black bears tend to be not all that aggressive. They can be, but it's generally not their go-to move. They eat mostly roots and berries and whatever they can find. They're browsers. They're scavengers. They will eat whatever they can find, and they're happy with it. They don't always actively hunt, because just about anything that they find is fair game. You get a little farther north, you get into grizzly bears. Grizzly bears still eat roots and berries, but they also eat meat because they're built for a colder climate. They need more protein to live. Then you get farther north and you get into polar bears, and that's all they eat. They don't eat roots and berries. They eat slow Eskimos and seals. They're known man eaters, and that, joke all you want about slow Eskimos, but yeah, they are confirmed man eaters, and they will actively hunt them. I think the worse the climate, the colder the climate, the more aggressive anything gets, because food becomes more scarce and the competition for it is higher. Whereas down here in the lower 48, we still have violent encounters with Bigfoot, but by and large, there's still a lot of food out there that can keep them fed without necessarily resulting to snagging the occasional guy with his iPod and his Birkenstocks.
You saying the slow Eskimos puts that polar bear eating the Eskimo pie commercial in such a different perspective now.
That's funny.
Never going to watch that commercial the same way again.
I'll never look at it again the same way. Absolutely not.
Well, I'm here to help. If nothing else, I can amuse. But I hope that answers your question. I think that Alaska has some of the most dangerous reports, but the thing about Canada is Canada's just as far north, but 90% of Canada's population lives along the Canadian-U.S. border. The farther north you get in Canada, the more sparsely populated it is. So the chances for human interaction in northern Canada is a lot lower than it is in Alaska, because we do have a lot of people, especially up near Prudhoe Bay, where all those big oil refineries are. So there are people in Alaska a lot more than you find in northern Canada. I would say across northern Canada, the Bigfoot would probably be just as aggressive as they are in Alaska.
Yes.
I would concur with that one.
Agreed.
With that statement.
Agreed.
K Bauer says, not for nothing, but there's a thing I heard about animals that eat less red blood meat being less aggressive than ones having a dominant red blood meal. Also, higher protein intake is a good indication of increased intelligence. That's what brought us out of the Stone Age. Was humans started eating a less of an agrarian and more of a protein-based diet. The protein allowed us to get bigger, get stronger, increase brain capacity, and they've noticed that among chimps that eat more like fish or like smaller monkeys. Chimps that eat a lot of meat tend to be more organized and more intelligent than their counterparts that are mostly agrarian. William Nighthawk says the Nahanni Valley. Yeah, the Headless Valley. That's a great indicator of Canadian Bigfoot getting violent.
Yep.
Cajun, that's funny. I'm not going to put that up on screen, but it's funny. But yeah, I hope our theories make sense to you guys, and I hope these stories do more than just entertain. I hope you, along with us, are building a profile. We're kind of styling ourselves as the BAU of the cryptid research team. We're looking to profile these things to predict behavior and use that analysis of their behavior to help us not only track them, but start predicting where they will be. And that's where our field expeditions come out. And there'll be more of those coming soon. We're gonna be showing you guys some things and hopefully gathering more evidence, because if you've watched this show, if you've been a fan of this show for any length of time over the last almost 400 episodes, how many times have we shown footprints? How many times have we shown dismembered animals that we found in the woods, including heads that were torn off? Posted audio of vocals. We've posted videos from when we were places like Combs Ferry or over in Joe Bald. We're not just talking heads on a screen, folks. We go out there. We go out and look. And it's our goal is to bring you as much truth as we possibly can. Because just because we don't understand how they do something does not make it supernatural or magic. And we're trying to bring to light fact-based, evidence-based, scientifically backed theories of why they disappear when they stand still, of why tracks stop in the middle of a field, of why they can go underground and stay underground in the complete darkness. These are things that, previously people have tried to say, oh, it's because they can step into other dimensions or they're telepathic. But if they could do that, honestly, and if even 1% of those things were aggressive towards humans, which we've talked, every story tonight was aggressive toward human, but if even 1% of those creatures were aggressive toward humans and they could walk through dimensions and go wherever they want, they would be the dominant species on this planet, and there wouldn't be a damn thing we could do about it.
Correct. we are not the apex predator.
Yeah,
we think we are.
We still aren't when you get out in the woods. They're still the cock of the walk out there, but that without them being able to get beamed up by Scotty or possess telepathy or turn invisible, they're still a natural part of the world. William Nighthawk, who was here, I think he went to bed. The Native Americans of North America have been telling us for a long time that they're a natural part of this world. And some of the tribes even treated them like other tribes of natives. There are stories of like the Lakota. The Lakota word for Bigfoot is Shiatanka, which means big elder brother. They felt that it was another tribe, and they even have history of trading with them. Now, but you get out to the coastal Salish, and it's a whole different ball of wax. The coastal Salish say these things come into camp, and they steal women and children. They'll steal your food. They'll steal your fish. They're very dangerous in the traditional lore of the coastal Salish. But every tribe on North America and even South America, every tribe has their own word for these creatures and a physical description of something extremely similar. As even tribes that never had contact, like the Jicarilla Apache and the Algonquins, two completely different parts of the continent, yet they describe the same creature.
Well, take it a step further. We've said this before, every continent, every culture on those continents has a story and a name for these things. Mm-hmm. How many names, when you start going overseas?
Oh, there's hundreds of names.
Yeah, but they all describe the same type of creature.
And with something we've been talking about, they all have almost the same established patterns.
Similar physical descriptions, similar behavior patterns, similar vocalizations.
Gaits, stride length, footprints, everything. It's everything. No matter where they are, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of patterns.
And that's exactly why we're bringing you guys these stories. To show that no matter what part of the country, what decade it happened, or who it was that witnessed it, and in some cases, multiple witnesses, they describe a creature, like Doc said, with the same gait, the same stride, the same physical description, the same vocalizations. So this isn't just a few people that, or like the old joke from the 1970s, because they always managed to find the one guy with bibbed overalls and no T-shirt to interview about about tornadoes, and he had one tooth left, and he would say something like, "Yeah, I saw the tornado and it came through my farmyard and it killed all my chickens." It's not people like that anymore. They used to make a joke of Bigfoot sightings on the news, but they can't really do that anymore because more and more credible people are coming. People with PhDs like Dr. Meldrum, who just recently passed away. Dr. Grover Krantz, he had a PhD. People that are very respected in the field. Dr. Melba Ketchum. People with advanced degrees. Heck, even the recently departed Dr. Jane Goodall, who was a world-renowned primatologist, believed in Bigfoot. And there's a reason for that. We've got all the habitat that they would need. So, folks, we're going to start winding things down, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys. This coming Saturday will be episode number 400 episode. And that is absolutely awesome. We're thrilled to death. You guys have chosen to stick around with us that long, and then we are continuing to grow. So make sure you join us. We got some great stories to share with you for episode number 400. But as we fade things out tonight, The woods don't care if you believe in monsters. They don't care if you think the ranger's exaggerated or if you tell yourself there's always a rational explanation. The woods don't need your permission because the cases we covered tonight weren't legends, they weren't rumors, they weren't just stories passed around a campfire to scare kids. They were real events documented by the very people trained to protect those parks. People who know the difference between a bear and something walking upright. People who know the sound of a falling rock versus a rock being thrown. People who don't panic easily until something gives them a reason to. And when you line these incidents up, the boulders in Yosemite, the torn open cabin at Rainier, the screams in Happy Isles, the twisted trees in the Olympics, the vanished lookout in Idaho, and the crushed Jeep up in the Smokies, a picture starts to form. Maybe not a clear one, definitely not a comfortable one, but a picture all the same. Something is out there. Something powerful, intelligent, and moves through our national parks like it's its territory, and we're the intruders. And you know what? The rangers know it. They may not talk about it in public. They don't put it in the brochures. But when the radios go quiet, when the sun goes down, when the fog rolls in and the forest holds its breath, they feel it. And after tonight, so will you. So mark your calendars, folks, because next time we're going deeper into the cases they tried to bury, into the files that were never meant to see daylight, into the encounters that didn't end with just a missing ranger, but with something far worse. So if you thought tonight was unsettling, you're not ready for what comes next. This has been the Nightmare Hunters, and we'll see you on the next trail. That is, if the woods let us. So before we wrap up, we have a few things we always like to talk about.
First off, thanks to Bob for a $20 super chat.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you, man. Really appreciate the super chat. Put that up there. Thank you, Bob. Really appreciate the super chat, sir. But as we wind things down, we always talk about our affiliates. And you've seen me popping up through the show. You've seen me popping up the links. They've been posted throughout the chat tonight. But here in person to talk about the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical is this young feller right over here. We give Doc a ration of crap about being short, but to be honest, he's only a couple inches shorter than me. But it doesn't stop us from giving him crap. He's one of those guys that's absolutely rock steady in the field, and if something bad were to happen, there aren't many people in this world I would rather have at my back than these two morons.
I appreciate it, brother. Same here.
Yep.
Same here.
So, Doc, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical and what it is you do and why it's important, especially in this day and age, to carry a medical kit.
Well, here at Dark Angel Medical, if y'all head over to www.darkangelmedical.com and check us out, we have a wide variety of kits. We have anything from little small kits all the way up to big car kits to mass casualty bags for all your trauma needs. And not only that, we teach you how to use this stuff because that's the most important aspect. Because if you got just a med kit, you don't have to use and don't know how to use it, you're about as useless as an ashtray on a motorcycle. So you got to think about these things. If you got the products, if you got the components, you need to know how to use them to be an asset. Now we always say I want to be an asset versus a liability. So we teach classes all over the United States. We have online classes. We have classes on YouTube, our little online training videos on YouTube. And if you are interested in purchasing anything, use the coupon code Cryptid20, and that is going to be 20% off of your order. And if you ever happen to use one of our products to save a life, all you need to do is let us know, and we will absolutely replace what you've used 100% free of charge. I'm actually replacing one tomorrow for save number 211. And so this is something that you cannot put a price on. Because if you're out in the woods, if you're out in a boat, if you're out in your car, you need to have a med kit on you because the time chooses you. And like I said, you need to know how to use this stuff because we don't think, we write a handwritten note on every order every pack and slip because we appreciate folks supporting a disabled veteran-owned small business. And we believe that we have a mission to do because God doesn't call a qualified, he qualifies a called. And so you gotta we pack those birthdays into boxes. So get a kit, and get trained to be the difference.
Well, Doc, another time to keep one on you. Well, pretty much any time. About 6 years ago, I was at Walmart here in town, and there was a lady who was trying to get a jar of pickles off a shelf. She should have had me get it because she wasn't tall enough to reach it. She dropped that jar of pickles and tried to catch it, and when it broke, it cut her hand so bad. I thought that lady was going to bleed out before they got it stopped.
Yep.
And that was just a jar of pickles.
The craziest freaking things happen all the time, man. And at home, keep something at home. If you got a fire extinguisher, put your trauma kit beside it.
K Bauer says, I need one on my duty belt still. My single tourniquet's all I have. Dude, I carried 2 tourniquets and a dart kit the whole time. Yeah, that's peace of mind right there. Because odds were very good while I was on duty that if that kit got used, it was probably going to be on me.
Yeah, and also let people know too, if you have a HSA or FSA account, you can use that to purchase that stuff too. So I mean, there's no reason not to carry something solid, not to carry good gear, and our stuff's not fake.
Best kits in the business.
Yep.
And Robbie, would you like to tell us a little bit about the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical?
Sure thing. Scallywag Tactical, another one of our veteran-owned affiliates, makes some of the best blades that you can find. This is one of their new karambits, a folding karambit, which is just a cool knife. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's the Deep Six.
I think it's the Deep Six folder.
Yep, which is a great knife.
I carry mine all the time.
But
Man.
Like I said, that's the Dew Claw. Unfortunately, they don't make that one anymore. But that was a great knife. I
love this. Dew Claw is one of my favorite blades.
Yeah, I've got that in my little leather med kit that I carry in my truck. My Dew Claw's in that one, so it goes with me everywhere I go in the truck. So go check them out. Craig and his guys, his whole crew, amazing group of guys. Tell them we sent you. Use code DA Roberts 10 at checkout and get yourself 10% off of anything you buy. And tell them we sent you. Scallywag Tactical.
Absolutely. And last but not least, check out our most recent affiliate, and that's the good folks over at sigwoarms.com. You might notice a theme with all of our affiliates. They're all veteran and first responder owned companies, and we're damn proud of our first responders and veterans, and we always will be, and we're proud to support them. So all 3 of these affiliates are veteran owned, first responder owned companies. SigwoArms.com is a gun manufacturer, but they're also a licensed dealer, so they'll have all your favorite brands like Sig or a significant company. They've got all your favorites, Glock, whatever you're looking for, they've got it. And if you're looking for a suppressor, or as I like to jokingly call them, a whisper pickle, they have those as well. Especially now that the tax stamp is no longer costing you out the butt. You can pick them up without a tax stamp, and they will ship to anywhere with an FFL. So check them out. They'll even check them out for their ammunition, because they have fantastic deals on ammo constantly, because they make it in-house and they pass the savings on to you. I've pointed out before, I picked up to over 200 rounds of 9mm hollow points for $54. And that is a steal if you know what 9mm is going for these days, especially hollow points. But fantastic company. Check them out. Let the Codys know we sent you, and make sure you're enjoying the everything we can bring you there, because they are. Let me bring that up there. Enjoying everything that they have to offer there. You can use discount code Bigfoot5 for 5% off, or if you're a first responder or a veteran, they will ask you a couple questions, probably have you send them a picture of your credentials, and they will bump that up to 10%, which can save you a lot of money, especially when you're dealing with whisper pickles, pew pews, and freedom seeds. So check them out. Let them know we sent you, and we're proud to support our first responders and our veterans because, you know, they gave so much for us. The least we can do is give a little bit back. And very proud of the folks like this fella right down here. Not only is he a hell of a friend, but he's saving lives. 211 people are walking this earth because of what Doc has done. And that's nothing small. That is nothing to sneeze at. So as much crap as we give Doc, ain't nobody stands taller than the medic on a battlefield.
It's out of love, I know.
Yeah. You know we love you. You ornery little fart.
I am ornery.
That's without a doubt.
Yes.
But the last thing we want to always talk about is, well, we've got some authors in the mix, and one who's kind of an extended part of the family. We need to bring her back on. Robert Jed Raines over here has 7, getting ready to have 8 books in print. His newest one is in the process of being uploaded.
Well, the book's technically out, but
they've still messed up with the cover.
Yeah, and then it's got some issues with the print that Luca's got to take care of. But other than that, it's done. You can get it right now. You can get the ebook or now, I checked on Audible. Audible shows the picture, so Audible's all good. It's just for whatever reason, KDP approved the manuscript, but hasn't approved the picture yet. So when you pull it up, it just shows image not available. But you can get it.
The thing is that if you buy the Kindle version, even when that image, if you buy it now without the image, when that Kindle file updates, it'll automatically update it on your Kindle. So you'll get the cover even if you get it now. But hopefully in the next day or so, we'll have all that straightened out, and even the print version will be available. But you can check out Robbie's new book, Avalon Rising, his newest book, not the one that's getting ready to drop, by going to Amazon.com or clicking on the link that's posted in the chat. And you can also go to Robbie's author page and follow him and be updated anytime he has a new release. So I highly recommend, if you've got favorite authors, go to their Amazon author page and follow them, so you'll be told so Amazon will alert you anytime they publish something new. But while you're checking out Robbie's books, which are all available on Amazon.com in print, Kindle, and audio formats, check out the awesome works of Luca T. Jacobs. Luca's a great writer. She writes in the same genre Robbie and I do. In fact, you could take her entire series and plunk it down in the middle of the DA verse and it would fit perfectly. Just similar styles, similar stories, and fantastic fun reads. So check out all of Luca's books at lucatjacobs.com, or you can find all of her stuff on Amazon just like Robbie's. Don't forget to follow her Amazon author account. And if you're in the mood, if you're enjoying the books and want to read more, hopefully between the three of us, we can keep you busy. So check out all of my books, which you can find right there on Amazon.com, or you can find them all at daroberts.net. So check out all of those. Follow the author pages. Make sure you're picking up the books, and if you want to listen to them in audio format, they're all available. And we would be thrilled to death to have you guys as part of the extended universe. And this little fella down here has just completed his first book. Doc, since it's not out of edits yet and still working on the cover, why don't you give us a little bit of background on that book? So give them a little taste before it goes to print.
The book is going to be basically an origin story, a spinoff. It's Dark Frontiers, Vampire Chronicles, and the first book 1 is going to be called Angels of the Wilderness, and it's going to follow the exploits of the team after basically kind of between, what would you say, 1 and 2.
Yeah, somewhere between book 1 and 2 of the Dark Frontiers series.
Yeah, and that's been the bane of my existence, is making sure I meshed all the timeline stuff. So that's the reason I think I'm on like revision 9. Thank you, Miss Lene. I think I'm on like revision 9 right now, but it's basically it follows Doc and Declan and Jed and forester going through a little town outside Springfield in Indian Territory, chasing down this vampire, this bloodsucker who is trying to increase the size of his coven, and he's wiping out these little towns on their way out to the west, out to San Francisco. And well, they just give him what for, and they discover how metallurgy works. So it's pretty interesting. It's a good time. A lot of back and forth, and it's between Jed and Doc. So if y'all like that dialogue and DA and Robbie's books, you'll appreciate hearing Robbie's laughing. But it's been a good time. It's been a good experience for the most part, and I'm already into chapter 6, chapter 5, chapter 6 of book 2, which is another story. And so, yeah, I hope y'all get a kick out of it and enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed writing it.
One of the cool things I've come to find with Robbie and Doc both creating stories set in the universe I built, what the really cool thing about it is while those stories do fit perfectly in my universe, they've each got their own unique voice. Doc writes very much like Doc in the books. He's got that same pattern of speech. He's got that flow. Robbie's is the same way. It's very uniquely him. So while the stories might tell similar tales of cryptids and monsters and things that go bump in the night, the perspectives are focused. The perspectives are so unique. You get a different flavor with each book, and I think that's one of the coolest parts about it. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and Robbie and I were actually talking about that earlier today, and he's like, "You've had your story," and I was like, "Yeah, I actually, the character in Dark Frontiers that DA based off of me is my single action shooting society legend that I created back in 2003 when I started doing cowboy action shooting.
Long before I knew Doc.
Long before we knew one another, and so yeah, I basically had the foundation for this story for 23 years now. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And when Doc sent me the story, that it wasn't even a big story. It was a short story that he'd written. When he sent me that short story, I'm like, dude, you could take this and just drop it right into the Dark Frontiers series. It would fit perfect.
Jeremy Lee, $5 words, man. I got some $25 and $50 words up in there.
He got a few.
I hope y'all enjoy it. It's like I said,
Yeah.
Once we get through everything, get everything done, these two cats up here are going to help me get everything done that I need to finalize it, and we'll announce the launch.
One might say that he is elegantly loquacious in his discourse.
That means he writes good.
Yeah.
He sure talks, Purdy.
I have Jed translating for me in the books.
These two, well, I guess me too, keep Jed busy in making change all over the place.
Yes.
When Jed and Doc are in the same room.
It's kind of become part of the dynamic.
It really has, man. It really
And
has.
occasionally somebody like Margolin going, wait, I think I understood that one.
Yeah, wait, I know what that was.
Hotel Metal Neighbor.
And I appreciate Robbie's encyclopedic memory and also DA's, because like me and Miss Lene were talking, when she was going through it, she's like, I don't see how DA keeps that all in his head. I said, dude, I would be so confused. I mean, more than I am normally.
I have to go back and reread old books sometimes just to make sure I got the details. Or I'll call Robbie. Like, hey, wait a minute. I'm going to pick your brain here.
Yeah. I did that with Robbie today. Exactly.
Or I'll send him a text like, do you remember which book this happened in? And he'll go, oh, that was blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, okay. I get kind of run together with me anymore.
I did the same thing just today. So, yeah. Do you remember which book it was? Yeah. I get right.
So, folks, as we wind things down, there are plenty of new books coming to keep you guys busy. And the alpha readers should know here in just a minute, I'm going to be sending out some new stuff for you guys to take a look at. The Leviathan down is really starting to take form. And there might be something else thrown in that's kind of been a side project for a while that I've been picking Doc's brain on because, well, he's familiar with the area where it's set. I've started a side project. I know I got 25 of them. But this side project's already over 20,000 words and climbing pretty rapidly. But I'm writing it at the same time as I write the other books. I spend hours a day writing. I mean, quite a few hours a day. So I work on multiple projects. This new project is going to be think Longmire meets Kolchak the Night Stalker. It's a small sheriff's department dealing with a supernatural problem. And the series is going to be called The Hangman's Legacy. And the first one is called The Mount Dora Incident, and it's set where I lived in New Mexico, in Union County, New Mexico, in a little cattle town called Clayton. And I think you guys are going to like it. I'm pretty excited. And I was telling Doc the other night that I love writing. Don't get me wrong. I love all the series that I write, but it's been a long time since I've been this excited about a new project. And Hangman's Legacy, I think it's going to be a long running popular. I would love to see it do for Clayton, New Mexico, what Longmire Days did for what town is it?
It's Buffalo, Wyoming.
Yeah. Because Durant doesn't really exist.
No.
But all the places I'm using do. So I'm pretty excited to get some feedback on this. And I know Robbie's going like, hey, I hadn't heard nothing about this. Robbie, why I've been picking Doc's brain is he's been there. I wanted to make sure I got the location details right. Doc knows that area because he drives through it all the time. And he's been there a lot more recently than I have. So, Robbie, check your email. You guys are going to get a big dump. You're going to get that's bad. But you guys are going to get the most recent update, which is almost 47,000 words, I think, for Leviathan Down, and about 21,000 words for Hangman's Legacy. So I'm going to be mailing those right after the show. All you alpha readers who are listening, watch your emails. Looking forward to the feedback on these. I hope you guys really like it. Miss Lene, this one's going to be right up your alley, and I may be calling you too because there's going to be a lot of horses in this one. So, having said that, one of the things we always talk about before we wind up a show is the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many, folks. So take a minute out of your day, reach out to your friends and family that are first responders, that are veterans, served in any capacity or still active duty. Shoot them a text, give them a phone call, let them know you think about them, let them know you care, because 22 a day is 22 too many. And we can get that number down to 0. And we can do that by being there for our friends and family. The PTSD is a demon, and don't let them fight it alone. And for those of you who are fighting it, don't let the hard days win. Because at least 22 times a day, they do. So reach out. If you're struggling with this, reach out to somebody. Reach out to anybody that you know. You wouldn't go into combat alone, so don't fight this alone. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be ashamed to reach out, because you're not the only one going through it. Others have carried a similar burden, maybe not exactly the same burden, but they've carried a burden nonetheless. So reach out, get some help. And at the end of the program, you'll see the phone calls and the websites that you can contact if you need help. You can go to odmp.com, which stands for Officer Down Memorial Page, or mission22.org. Those are designed to help first responders and help veterans. Till Valhalla Project is another great one. So check those out, folks. And if you're a veteran or you're a first responder and you're struggling with it, don't be afraid to reach out. Again, you wouldn't go into combat alone. Don't face this alone. So, Frank, folks, so I was trying to saw a question pop up. We'll probably talk about that at another point, Richie. We'll see what we can do at another point. But anyway, folks, we're going to close her out. And we've been closing her out with a toast. And I'm going to bring it up on the banners here. And Robbie, I asked you last time, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So, Doc, would you take us out with the toast and raise a glass for the ones we've lost along the way?
Absolutely. This comes from the old Irish drinking song, "The Parting Glass." But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Thank y'all for being here with us. Slán Java.
Slán Java, and we will see you Saturday night for episode number 400. Good night, everyone. God bless. Y'all take care. Good night.
Plains, the winds are howling, saloon doors swinging, shadows growling. Three lawmen stand tough as rawhide. Yeah, Doc and DA, nothing can abide. Whiskey shots and poker faces, staring down the darkest spaces in this town where legends roam. These boys bring justice, sending evil home. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Jed's a howler, claws of steel. Doc's a biter, makes the devil real. But DA's a shifty one, a shape-shifting soul. Can turn to anything, takes any form, takes control. Tonight the chupacabras come to town, sucking the life from all around. But these lawmen, they ain't afraid. They'll face the darkness unafraid. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Full moon rises, bat wings flap, the air grows cold, a chilling trap. But these lawmen, they're ready to fight underneath the pale moonlight. Jed and Doc transform with a howl. DA shifts, becomes a night owl. Together they stand a force so strong against the evil right in the wrong. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night.